This is a recording of the Ohio Vendors Representative Committee meeting held by telephone on December 18, 2020.
Well, it's 9 o'clock, so I guess we can get started. We'll do a fairly quick roll call. It looks like we have a lot of folks on here this morning, which is great. And we'll see who all we have on here. Kelsey, are you with us this morning?
Hi, Annette. I'm here and ready.
Okay, great. Good morning. I'm here, Annette Lutz, Toledo representative and chair. Tom Neal, are you here?
I heard him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Tom's here. I was trying to make it official.
Right. It's official now.
Okay, there he is. All right, what about Scott Allen?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Frank Bergassa?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning, Frank.
Good morning.
Jeff Toll?
Yep, I'm here, Annette.
Okay. Larry Danflis? Okay. Larry, if you're on here. And what about Jim Devis?
Jim is here.
Good morning, Jim. Okay, we'll see what alternates are here. Christopher Douglas.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. What about Doug Brusso?
Here. Good morning.
Good morning. John Canady? You know John? What about Dave Bergassa? Keith Trammell? Or Dean Hamilton? Dean told me he probably wasn't going to be here, so. All right, what BSVI or Bureau staff do we have?
Vicky's here.
Good morning, Vicky.
Amy is here.
Amy.
Sally's here.
Morning, Sally. Any other BSVI staff? I don't know. Christy, I know you always have trouble muting and unmuting. Are you here?
Madam Chair, yes, I have problems muting and unmuting. I've been talking for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm here. Greg is on another meeting and he'll be hopping on. I know, I think Cynthia's here, but she'll be hopping off. And we do not have Rick on today.
Okay.
So really, it's just Vicky and I and Amy. I think I heard Sally's on, which I didn't think she was going to be on first thing. So that's who the Bureau has.
Okay. We'll see what operators we have on here. Toledo area. Do we have any Toledo operators?
Connie, standing clear.
And we heard Connie and Dwayne. Anybody else? Okay. What about Cleveland?
Mark Messick.
Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
Anyone else from Cleveland? Akron Canton.
Larry Danflis.
Okay, there's Larry. Good morning, Larry.
Hello.
Jeff Squibb.
Jeff?
Yep.
Aaron Hopkins.
How are you, Annette?
Good morning, Jeff. How are you? Good. Aaron?
Good.
Okay. Anybody else from Akron Canton?
I heard Aaron on here.
What about Zanesville?
Laura Singer.
Laura?
Lisa Litzinger.
Oh, Lisa Litzinger, okay. Any other? Zanesville. All right, Columbus.
Julie Russell.
Morning, Julie.
John D.
John? Any other Columbus operators? Oh, Chris. Chris, you're Dayton. You're not Columbus.
Oh, pardon me. You're right. I'm lost.
That's okay.
One of the lost boys.
We'll count you either way, Chris. Anyone else from Columbus? All right, what about Dayton?
Annette, this is John Kennedy. I don't know if you got me or not.
No, I did not get you, John. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Anyone from Dayton? All right, what about Cincinnati?
Patrick Koo.
Morning, Patrick.
Derek.
Derek? All right, are there any operators that we think we missed?
Annette, Dave Patrick, Cleveland.
Okay, good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
What about other guests?
Annette, Ethan Gregory is here with the Ohio Attorney General's office.
Good morning, Ethan.
Morning.
Any other guests today? Okay. Well, welcome everybody. We have a pretty thick agenda, so we're gonna get right into it. The minutes did come out from the last meeting, so I hope everybody got a chance to look at them and see if not. Well, it's the November meeting, the last regular meeting. I should correct that. It wasn't from the one a week ago. So was there any conversation or a motion to accept those? Is there a motion not to accept those?
Madam Chair, it's Jeff. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thanks, Jeff. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Claire. All right, any discussion on the minutes? Okay, committee representatives, all those in favor of passing them, accepting them, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. The recommendations also came out. If anybody had any comments or concerns with those. Okay, then we'll move on to public comment. I had several requests for public comment this morning. So the first one that had a request in was Laura Cole.
Good morning. I wanted to make a comment about some things from last meeting about this inventory thing and some concerns that I have, because this program is notorious for saying they're going to do things a certain way and then changing their minds. I know there's a issue with the committee right now where active participation grievance that the program said they wanted to settle and change their mind. I have in front of me minutes from the July 2019 meeting where the program told the committee that they were going to tell all operators that any grievances could move forward to a 119 hearing, even if they were deemed untimely or whatnot by the program. They haven't done that. I'm really concerned that the Bureau wants to get out of the inventory business and put all future responsibility on the program, and then could decide in the last hour to not forgive these inventories because that part of it will not be in the rule. I mean, you know, this is, there's a abuse of power in the way this whole thing was pushed last meeting, where kind of it reminded me of the statement, never let a crisis go to waste, to get something that you want. And this program is becoming increasingly insolvent financially, where we're spending more money paying staff than we're generating in service charge and match total last month combined, meaning that we're paying more for staff than the entire net proceeds of every operator combined in this entire program. And the Bureau says this program is functional. Meanwhile, people are told they can't get something as simple as a cart or I heard an operator say he had to buy his own locks for his vending machines. I mean, this program is in a lot of trouble, and I'm really concerned about the solvency of these issues and the service charge dollars continuing to reduce each month, and some of these expenses not reducing commensuratively, and there being no money to actually run the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. All right, Mike Russell. I didn't hear you on the roll call, but I know I have a request for public comment.
He's at work. Can he get it later?
We will see. I can't guarantee that because I don't know how the meeting's going to go.
Okay.
So, all right. The other request I had was from Aaron Hopkins. Aaron?
Good morning to everybody on the conference call, the Bureau, everybody as well.
Good morning.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Doug. I had an incident that occurred at my rest area the other day, and I'm sure everybody that's on this phone call probably is aware of that incident. I do realize it was a horrible, horrible mistake that I had made, and I want to apologize to the state of Ohio, the Bureau. I want to apologize to everybody that's involved for my embarrassing actions that I had done. I'm not going to justify it. I don't have no reason to justify it, but I just want to truly apologize for it and let everybody know that it will not happen again. There was no intentions on making anybody upset, and I have contacted the person that I think I made upset, and I told her that I'm very sorry and it will not happen again. So I just want to let everybody know that this is a great program. I do respect the Business Enterprise Program. I also respect all the staff and the members that we have, and the people that make this program possible. And I just want everybody to know that I'm truly sorry for my actions, and it will not happen again. And I would like to continue in the program and be a successful operator. I've been in the program for 12, 13 years, somewhere around there, since '07. And I want to continue that way and go on with my business. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thanks, Aaron. Did we have anybody else for public comment that I missed?
Annette, could I just say something very small?
Yes, Julie.
Okay. I have done a survey of around half of the operators, and we have some fantastic operators in this program, and they're willing to go more than halfway to meet what they need to meet. And I don't think we need to forgive $700,000 worth of inventory, because there's roadsides and the psychiatric center and Roger Hall and several operators who really don't need it forgiven, and some of us who do need it forgiven, which would bring it down to probably around 100,000 to 200,000 if even. But these operators are fantastic people, and they've never spoken to Christy, which in 9 months you would think there would be just an inch of time given to these operators who are in true bad circumstances to hear from the office and tell them and let them understand how wonderful they are and how they're willing to work and how they're willing to understand. I just want to say that these operators are fantastic people.
Thank you, Julie. Was there anybody else?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a public comment. This is Chris Johnson.
Oh, Chris, okay.
Good morning to all present. Thank you, Annette, for the opportunity to share a couple thoughts. I do not have the background knowledge on the inventory proposal that the majority of you sitting at this call may have. But I have some serious misgivings, and you know, a couple of them I think bear addressing. And consistent with Julie's comment previously, I really believe that the total write-off of all inventory obligations of operators to the agency is not a responsible suggestion on the on the part of those trusted public servants who are fiduciaries of the assets of this program. Mr. Dormer, Ms. Hauk, and Mr. Miller have a fiduciary responsibility to hold in trust the assets that the public coffers have provided for the inventory of blind operators managing in this program. And all of those assets have not been lost. The fact is that there are several facilities that have experienced pretty much a 100% loss or close thereof. And while I recognize that taking an all or nothing approach might simplify things from the administrative perspective, it is not consistent with what I believe is an ethical response to the circumstances before us, because of that public trust responsibility that these administrators have been given by their job descriptions, by the taxpayers of the state of Ohio, and the taxpayers of this nation who are providing the federal match. It's just not responsible to have a wholesale write-off of all that. In my situation, I stand to gain nothing, I stand to lose nothing, because when I came into my current facility, there was no inventory and I bought it all. So I did not ask the agency to provide that inventory. There are plenty of situations where operators have been able to maintain their businesses. The postal facilities are a good example, as well as some of the others that are pretty obvious, such as rest areas and so forth. And while some of us may have had greater than normal levels of product loss due to slow sales, in most cases, for any of us rest area operators, there's never been a total write-off, a total loss, I should say. And so there should not be a total write-off. Also concerning is the fact that the plans going forward for inventory management, such as the cases where an inventory obligation to the state agency that has been financed is not completely paid off before that person transfers to another facility, and the idea that these obligations could snowball, and also the circumstances where operators need to buy inventory from one another, and the agreements required to accomplish that are, shall we say, ill-defined at this point. The criterion for how that transaction would be managed is very ill-defined at this point. That to me, I believe, sets up a great deal of controversy and administrative headaches going forward when you have operators disagreeing about what should be transferred. I don't want to take any more time. I thank you for listening to my thoughts. Be well, folks.
Thank you, Chris. Were there any other people desirous of making public comment?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Frank.
Over the within the past week, a couple of, okay, well, hang on, let me back up a second. Everybody will remember in November, I had asked a question during public comment if we were operational as a program. And the answer that was provided was reassuring, and was that we were, and that, you know, within the past week, though, I came into a couple of different situations that have given me great concern. I had found out, I guess, during a facility transition, an operator had requested that new locks be purchased, and the operator was told, I assume by the consultant or told by someone within the program, that we don't have the money to do that. And I also know of a current situation where we have an operator who is, they're trying to make do with a dolly that they have, but said dolly probably needs to be replaced, or if they can find one somewhere that, you know, that isn't being utilized, that could be put into service. But my point to all of this is that if we can't do small things like purchase locks for a transition, or if we can't get a dolly for an operator to efficiently run their business, it gives me great concern about our operational status, about our financial status. And if we aren't able to do things like that, what I would call small things, normal everyday operational costs, then we might all need to come together and take a look at our budget and take a hard look at restructuring or reprioritizing how and where money is being spent. Just putting it out there so that everybody can think about it, and, you know, going forward, decide if we need to take some action or what we need to do as a program to make sure that these things can be covered and will be covered when necessary. No, I'm not suggesting we go on a spending spree. We don't have the money to do that. But most of like the two things I just described, they aren't something that happens on a daily basis. They're, you know, incremental, and they typically don't happen all at once. Anyway, that's everything I have. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Frank. Was there anyone else who wanted to do public comment?
Madam Chair, this is Dave Paget.
Okay, Dave, good morning.
If someone needs a cart, I have one that I could give that person. If the state wants to take it off my, you know, list of items in my stand, because I have 3 and I only use 2.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Madam Chair,
Is that Christy?
it is.
Yes.
So again, news to me on the locks and the dolly. Sally, unfortunately, she had to hop off. She had an important thing that she had to do. I'd like to research this more. I've never known of us having people buy their own locks ever. And also, it's the first I've heard for the dolly. Frank, did you make Sally aware of these 2 things?
I didn't have I mean, I had talked to her yesterday, Christy, but it wasn't about those 2 items. We were focused on a facility issue, and that's what or on a couple of late issues, and that I had asked her to have a discussion with you about because you were tied up. So, and I appreciate you having her call me. Thank you for that. So I did have that discussion with her, and we also were focused on trying to get a facility down here covered. So we were dealing with that. And I came into these late in the week. One happened months back that I just wasn't aware of. But they did have, so that left the operator with having to buy their own locks. So, and that was news to me.
Right, that's not acceptable. And we're gonna get to the bottom of it. But please pick up the phone and call the area manager when you first hear of these things. You know, again, we've never made people buy their own locks. So again, totally new to me. I will investigate this and research it. And, you know, if you could please not put the person on Front Street, but, you know, email Sally who the people are, and I can follow up. Do you know who their consultant is?
Yeah, I do. I know who their consultant are. And I will be, and Christy, I don't know if there was a misunderstanding between management and consultants or but I think it was presented to the operator when they asked about, you know, they said, oh, I need to get, you know, new locks, because that's typically something we do during a transition for security reasons and, you know, just for a variety of reasons, so that everything is on the QT and there's no question or problem if there's ever an issue. And as I understand it right now, I guess when they made that request, they were told, we don't have the money to do that.
Huh. Okay. I'll follow up.
Christy, while we're on budget, before we move on to other things, earlier in the week, I was told that, and I apologize for not knowing her last name off the top of my head, but that Maria was going to join us to talk about the budget and try and get everybody kind of understanding where we are. Do you know if she will be joining us today?
She will not be joining us today. However, she can join, and again, I don't know if she can join us the 29th, but she could definitely join us Friday the 8th. And I was going to ask you if you want her to come the 8th, which is technically a rules meeting, but she can come the 8th, or if you want her to come Friday, January 22nd. I mean, personally, I think the sooner the better, but it's up to you.
I think the sooner the better.
Okay.
So even if she can
January
come the
8th, she can
29th,
come.
that would be great. But the 8th,
Okay.
we'll make it work.
Okay, I will find out. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, was there anybody else for public comment? Okay, then we will move on. We have several things on the agenda today, but I know I had a request to get started before we got into the agenda that there may be somebody wanting to make a motion out there to get started with, I was told. Or not.
Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes. I would like to make a motion. Kelsey, I apologize. This is a little wordy, so if you need me to repeat it, I will be more than happy to do so. Okay. The committee moves that the SBI immediately forgive the initial inventory obligation of individual operators in an amount commensurate with each individual operator's inventory losses sustained due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Did you get that, Kelsey?
Yes, I think I did. Can you hear me?
Okay. Let's see, do we have a second?
Kelsey, do you want to just read it back just to make sure that we have it?
Sure. I have the committee move that BSVI immediately forgive the initial inventory obligation of individual operators in an amount constituent with each individual operator's losses sustained due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The only change was commensurate.
Yeah, commensurate, and it was inventory losses. Did you
Got
say that? You may have said that. Was there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank.
Should it say up to the amount of their initial inventory,
Laura?
not to exceed the amount of their initial?
Laura, I'm sorry, people, we're doing the committee is working on the motion. Is there
Madam
any?
Chair, can we hear the motion again real quick? I'm sorry.
Yes, Kelsey, can you read it one more time?
Yep. The committee moves that BSVI immediately forgive the initial inventory obligation of individual operators in an amount commensurate with each individual operator's losses sustained due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And I believe he said inventory losses.
Yes, yes. Operators' inventory losses.
Got it.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, and we will call for the vote. Scott,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Tom, Tom might be muted. Jeff,
Sure.
Larry,
Yes.
Jim. Oh, did we lose Jim too? I think we lost him. Jim or Tom? Are either of you? Okay. Either way, I guess the motion passes. If they want to put in, then they can. Okay. So we will move on. We have a couple of agenda items to take, and we have a couple things that has come up since then. The
Annette,
first, yes. Who's
this
that?
is Christopher from Cleveland.
I'm sorry, Christopher.
I'm sorry that I was talking to if I was able to do the motion for Tom.
You can, since Tom doesn't appear to be on here, and that is my mistake. When he wasn't here, I should have called on you. I apologize for that.
That's okay. That's okay.
So how would you like to vote
yes,
for the motion? Okay.
I do agree with the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Okay. The first item then on the agenda to tackle other than that would be, yes, Tom?
I just want to continue my disruptive presence in these meetings and say I tried to unmute, couldn't. So thank you, Chris, for voting, and that's how I would have voted as well, just for the record.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We can go on to the University of Toledo. Christy or Vicky, one of you want to describe what we need to discuss with that?
It's Christy. Unless Vicky, you want to take this, but I can take it. So the University of Toledo, we found out in the summer that they were putting out an RFP. We contacted them. We stated that we are interested in talking to them about main campus. We had a meeting. They said that they'd get back to us in a couple weeks. They did not get back to us until mid-November, at which time they said we were interested and we would like someone in there, over the December for spring semester that starts in January. And I believe we've told the committee that in a prior meeting. I think everyone's caught up on that. So since then, we had a conversation because we did not know what vending they were offering us. And since then, we've talked to them. They're offering snack vending, only snack vending. I think there's like 37 machines. We told them that there was no way we could get in there in December, but that we would get Lynn to go out and do a site assessment in January, and that we would, get back to them after that site assessment. But in light of, prior conversations with the committee, we know that everyone has expressed great frustration in just being offered snack vending. We asked them about their pop vending. They have a pouring right, and their pop vending is done by Coke. We obtained their current agreement with Coke. Their current agreement with Coke expires in 2025. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like a third party, like Kent State did, a third party option. And doesn't have a third-party option, and it doesn't have like a 30-day out clause either for them. Now, that's not here nor there. I'm just putting it all out there. I know that the committee has expressed in the past that we need to go after all of it, that it's all ours. They should have come to us prior to getting into that contract. They did not. They should have absolutely come to us for suitability determination. So we're in a situation right now where, what is our next move? Again, we're also in a situation right now too that, unlike if this would have occurred a year ago, we need to figure out how to provide equipment, initial inventory, et cetera, to service this campus. So, there's a couple things going on here, but I'm bringing this to the committee.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Is there any discussion or thoughts?
Madam Chair, I will
Yeah.
say that I do think to make this as profitable as possible, we really do need to try and do what we can to get the beverage side of this there as well. And yeah, I know the snack side of it presents us with more of a problem. The beverage side is more of a legal challenge or legal hurdle. While equipment side on that, there's already Coke equipment there, so that side of it wouldn't cost us any money. And I don't know how quick this would need to happen anyway, but I do think we need to maximize money coming into this program. We need the beverage and the snack as a combination together, not only for the program, but for whomever the operator would end up being.
Agree. Anybody else like to make a comment about
Madam
it?
Chair.
Or? Yes.
I agree with Frank that I don't think that we should pursue this without the inclusion of beverage rights as well. I also think that the Bureau should be notifying the UT that they're in violation of the law by not contacting us and giving us the option before they signed this contract with Coke.
I absolutely agree. It's a Toledo facility. When I first heard this, I was excited because this is one area of the state where we have had absolutely zero growth over, oh my goodness, the last decade or so at least. There's been no new opportunities there. And so I was excited that UT was talking to us. The thought crept through my mind, should we take the snacks because we've had zero growth and then go after the pop in a few years when it became available? But that doesn't happen. It really doesn't. Once we're there with the snack, that's how it's going to be forever. So I tend to agree that we should take what by law is ours. They broke the law by not complying with coming to the program to determine suitability before getting into these agreements. So I think we should do exactly what Scott just said and inform them that they're in violation of Ohio law and their contract. My 2-bit knowledge of the law says that a contract that's gotten into illegally is a voided contract. So I don't know that for a fact. Ethan would be able to maybe shed some light on it, but that I've always heard that. So I think we should pursue it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I don't want to
who is
crowd
that?
in on the committee. This is Chris Johnson.
Chris, I'm sorry. I try to open things up when we do the rules, but I don't want to get too bogged down.
Just want to raise the issue of healthy vending is all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Madam Chair?
Yes. Yeah.
Question to Christy. Do you have any knowledge of how big of a commitment this is from, snacking, from the snack side of it at least? What type of equipment would be necessary?
Madam Chair, I don't have that right in front of me, and until Lynn gets in there to do a site assessment, it would. I don't think we have that information. Well, maybe we do. I think it's Vicki says we do have it. She has it. 28 snack, 2 food, 11 combo, 18 coffee. Currently, that's currently, which quite frankly kind of surprised us that it's for a big campus that's all they have on the snack side. So again, us sending them a letter saying they violated the law, I think that they would be like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can do that, but I don't think that they're just going to say, okay, here it all is. So I guess that's the question. We can start with that approach if that's what you want, but I think we might have to take further action. So I guess that's the question. Do you want us to just start with the letter? But
hey, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Great.
Would there be an opportunity for whomever, whether that be Christy or Greg Dormer or somebody, to actually kind of broach this conversation with them, and try and just have that conversation without going through and of course they're going to rely on what the attorneys, and I'm not saying they shouldn't with that, but what I was trying to do is there a way we could try and at least start out with a negotiating, with trying to do it diplomatically, a little bit more diplomatically, but then if it doesn't work, then we don't really have a lot of choice. Then we have to do, or do we just pull the trigger and do what we need to do from the legal side? So,
So, Madam Chair, this is Christy again. I'm not a lawyer. Clearly, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know contract law. And I understand that, yes, they violated the law by getting into this contract. I don't know the legal ramifications, again, right. Can they break their contract because they illegally got into it, and then the financial monies that Coke has already obligated or already paid them, I don't know all of that. And that's where I think that we shouldn't worry about that. We just need to pick a lane, go after, if that's where you guys want us to do, that's what we'll do. I think with a 3-panel and going that route, which I will support absolutely if that's what the committee does. Again, I think that I could speculate what happens out of that, and what might happen, which again I think would be helpful too, is that they might come across and say, yeah, you violated the law, but I don't know if they're going to have the ability to say you must break your contract. It might be the next time it's up, you've got to go to the FBI. I'm just throwing that out there. Again, this is the layman. I'm not a lawyer. Who knows? I'm trying not to continue to predict things because I'm always off.
I would think that at least if that were to happen, your prediction did come to pass. We may not get them to break the contract. That part's true. But at least we would have a decision that when the contract was up, that it would, the pop would come to us. We would know that.
Right. Yep.
Scott, were you?
Yeah. Christy, when did you say the opportunity, when were they hoping to have us come in?
They wanted us to come in right now. And again, coming up with all those machines, 28 snack, 2 food, 11 combo, 18 coffee. We don't have that right this second, obviously. You know, we're still trying to find machines to fulfill Kent State, but we always said, I believe how we left it with them was, again, that all we said to them was, we want to do a site assessment and we're looking at spring. That's kind of what we said to them, and knowing that we would come to you guys. So
Madam Chair.
I think they think possibly spring we could go in there for the snack only, though.
Yes, Scott.
Well, I think we have a little bit of time, and I would love to hear what the other committee members feel about this. But, you know, I don't know that we want to rush into this right now with COVID as it is. I mean, you know, we would be setting up an operator, you know, as similar universities are right now with very low attendance. So if there's one positive of this situation, maybe COVID is a slight advantage because we could push it back just a little bit in time, and at the same time pursue the beverage rights. You know, whether we go with Frank's approach of a negotiation standpoint, or sending them a letter, you know, notifying them of their violation of the law, that kind of situation. But like I said, I think maybe this affords us a little bit more flexibility in time, you know, to pursue the beverage rights before we commit.
There
And
may
Madam
be.
Chair,
Go ahead, Frank.
the one thing I want to add is I don't know if that universe, I don't know if they're self-filling or if Coke is filling those machines or how all that plays out. But the one thing I do want to put forth is, yes, we do have the priority, but also we're not going to ask them to, you know, if they're getting money from Coca-Cola for, you know, scoreboards or whatever other reasons universities get money from these pouring rights agreements, we're not going to ask them to break their pouring rights agreement. They can keep their contract. We'll work within that, you know, we'll work within their pouring rights agreement and continue to sell Coca-Cola products.
Right.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we'd be willing to do that. And I don't know if we approach them, I mean, there's a chance, I don't know, but I guess there's a chance that if they realize their contract with Coke is illegal, even if they're not willing to break the contract as far as the exclusivity of it, maybe Coke would be willing to amend it that we would be the ones to fill the machines. I don't know. Just, you know, throwing stuff out there. I've never understood why the pop companies, as long as they're selling the pop and have their product on there exclusively, why they would care who's filling them. I guess I just never got that. I know some of them seem to, but it may be something we can approach. Yes.
We had a similar discussion to this about 4 months ago with the Cleveland State and the Tri-Cities discussions. And at that point, we were forced to delay the start of Cleveland State until next year because we couldn't purchase the brand new equipment they expected. And at that time, we were continuing discussions with Tri-C, which was offering us beverage and snacks. And I remember getting very upset in one of these phone calls and saying, if we pass on these opportunities, I don't want to hear somebody coming up and saying we're going to take other opportunities. And then I've never heard another thing about Tri-C. So here we are again. We're going to suggest that Cleveland, and believe me, I'm sensitive to Toledo and their I guess, contraction over the last few years because Cleveland has been going through it. And we had an opportunity there. We had negotiations started. They were offering us everything. And now I haven't heard a thing about that in 4 months. And now here we are trying to start up another university. And I kind of, for the people in Cleveland, I want to say, I didn't forget about that statement. I didn't forget that we passed up opportunities in Cleveland. And now here we are trying to look at one in another part of the state. Also, I don't want to forget about that opportunity because I haven't heard a thing about it. And we have people coming to us offering us business that unfortunately sometimes we have to turn away. But Tri-C, we could have had beverages, and if we have available snack machines, I mean, it should be the way I would conduct my program, if I were running it, would be first come, first serve. If Tri-C came to us 6 months ago, they should be the first one we move into. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Tom.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Who is that?
oh,
I'm
this is
sorry,
Larry.
Larry.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. You know, those two schools in Cleveland area, we have a kind of, I thought it's some sort of commitment with them. Where's all the money going to come from to supply all these machines and equipment?
As much as I hate to say it, Tom, you guys are right. I know Toledo's the area I represent, but
They are right.
you're right. It's and I'd love to see opportunity to grow in Toledo, but I can't dispute what you are saying about Tri-C and Cleveland State. So Christy, what are your thoughts?
Madam Chair, I don't know. I don't know.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Jeff?
Sorry. Yeah, look, guys, all this is great, but speaking as the guy that looks at the budget numbers, and I know you all do too, we don't have the money for any of this stuff anyway. I mean, as Christy put it, we're scrambling just to get enough stuff to try to fulfill this commitment up at Kent State. I'm just telling you, I said it earlier, a couple people brought it up in the public comment, we will be lucky to survive the next 6 months on what we have in the bank, in my opinion. If we continue to pay staff obligations and maintenance and repair and just basically keeping the program's heartbeat going, we don't have the money for any of this. My approach with Toledo, or University of Toledo, would be to say, look, you know, you guys have an illegal contract with Coca-Cola that you should have come to us with. We're interested in all of it. We don't have the resources to do the snacks right now. However, we would definitely entertain taking all of it when it becomes available, when the Coke contract is up. So I would try to negotiate with them to not sign a snack contract that goes beyond. Most of these have extensions of a year. So if they could extend their snack contract to coincide with the Coke contract, guys, I know it's 4 years away, but I'm telling you, it's going to take years to get us back to these discussions about growth. It really is, in my opinion. Unless something falls in our lap as a program, it is going to take years. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't want to walk away from opportunities, but we have to take care of the opportunities we already have too. So that's it though. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Question to Christy. To Tom's point and Larry's point, what is the update on communication between the Bureau and Tri-C and Cleveland State? And the second part of that is, what would the equipment requirement be for those two separate facilities in relation to the size of UT?
Vicki, can you speak to that? She was very much involved. I don't think we have those exact numbers. Again, go ahead, Vic.
Madam Chair, this is Vicki. Those, you know, let's see, for CSU, we do have a signed agreement with an extension to July 1st of 2021. The equipment there is required to be new in that BGA, and the cost of that is about $250,000. Tri-C, we have not completed negotiation of the BGA because we don't frankly know at this point what timetable we could promise to them. So that BGA needs to be completed. I do not remember the equipment levels for Tri-C, but it was a similar size commitment.
Well, we might have to approach exactly how Jeff said, University of Toledo. We clearly are not, we have already pending obligations. We already have these things in front of us. We don't have the money to go in. So maybe what Jeff's approach is where we should go and tell them, look, we realize you're in contract till 2025. When that is up, we would like some, I don't know what your legal terms are, some, memo of understanding or something that they're not going to get themselves into a snack contract. They're not going to extend the POP contract, and work with them with a goal of 2025 to take over the entire operation.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I don't know if anybody remembers this, or maybe I'm just imagining this, but a while back, I seen an advertisement from Frito-Lay offering snack machines if you kept their products in the machine. Kind of like a branded Pepsi machine. And it was through Pepsi. And I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I do not remember.
No, I didn't remember anything about that, but it's interesting, branded snacks.
Madam Chair,
yes.
It's Jeff. I think what Larry might be talking about is Hello Goodness. And it was a program that PepsiCo had where if you stocked their better for you snack items, and I believe some of these machines were actually combi, like a USI, where you could put beverages and snacks, both the phone may have just been snacks, but you had to carry a very specific product line in them, as I recall. I could be wrong, Larry, but that's what I remember reading. It was an automatic merchandiser or something.
I don't remember combos. I thought they were full snack machines, and this was back when Tom Miller was still. I think Tom Miller had brought it to my attention, actually. But yeah, it was pretty long time ago. I could look into it.
Yeah, it don't hurt to look into branded snacks. I don't know if that's anywhere we want to go or anything, but it'd be nice if there is such a program out there to at least have the knowledge of what it is. It may not work at all, but doesn't hurt.
So, Madam Chair,
yes,
I have another idea real quick too, and I don't know what the state rules are governing this, and maybe Jim Davis could speak to this because I think he might be a little more familiar with it. Some programs do lease new equipment to defer their costs, and then they buy out the equipment at the end of the lease. Now, I don't know what that looks like here in Ohio, though. So that may not be something we're allowed to do, but it might be a way to leverage getting our startup costs down. Again, I'm going to keep repeating this. I don't know that it's anything we can do right this minute. But when we get a little more on our feet financially, we might have to start looking at things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, Jim Debus.
Go ahead, Jim, and then I think Larry jumped in too.
Michigan program leases their vending machines out of National Vending out of Iowa. And so, I have no idea what the cost is for the program, but my equipment inventory shows zeros in terms of my SSDI. But so I have no idea what that would cost the program, but it's another avenue we could explore.
Interesting. Thanks, Jim. Larry?
Oh, I was just thinking, right now we have people out of work and we're losing jobs, and this is an opportunity that we might miss. And if we can figure something out to get some equipment for these opportunities, that would be great.
Well, I think the POP thing, at least the UT Toledo situation is I truly like what Jeff was saying. I mean, I hate the waiting 5 years part. I guess it's 4 years now, but I hate the waiting part, but I think it would take that long to jump through all the legal hoops and everything too. I think if we could approach them and say, if we could get them to agree that we get everything in 2025, then that might be the way we should go for that one.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I agree with that aspect of, I hate to push back the opportunity with University of Toledo, but I think that is the appropriate response, is to pursue the full rights in 2025. And then in the meantime, try and pursue the possibility of either leasing equipment or, branded snack machines, so that we won't have the budgetary impact, and we can pursue the opportunity to try C Cleveland State to get operators back to work.
Yeah, we can definitely look at those options. There's no harm in looking into them, and everything's on the table to try and find ways to grow, and if we can get in there.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, if I may add the
Frank.
one thing, as we're trying to find ways to get more income in operators' pockets and get more income coming into the program, and without spending, fortunately with the pop companies, you have branded machines. And if we could find a way to do something like that with the snack machines, like a couple of people have suggested, if there's anything available like that, it might help us greatly to generate more service charge dollars. If there's something out there, some way we can do that. So, thank you. That's it.
We're going to look more into the leasing thing too. Larry's going to pursue and check out the whole branded snack machine item, and we're going to look into this leasing. We can talk to our friends up there in Michigan and other states that do that and get the information on it. And I said it may not work here in Ohio, and we may find that it's not worth pursuing, but at least we should get informed on it. So, University of Toledo. I don't know. Do we want any kind of motion? Is anybody prepared to? If not, then we can just kind of leave it at a general recommendation. If Christy's fine with that we pursue full, the full vending at the University of Toledo in 2025 to include both the pop and the snack. That they start negotiations with the University of Toledo to get that, so that UT doesn't get themselves bogged down in other agreements that would extend past that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I really would like a motion for this. I don't normally ask for them, but
I understand.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I mean, I can make a motion, but I need a lot of help on the proper verbiage of the motion. I'll put it out there. I would like input from the committee on how to alter, but the general consensus is we want the Bureau to contact University of Toledo, informing them of the violation of their contract with Coke, and that we would like to pursue full snack and beverage rights when the contract expires with Coke in 2025. Please help me modify it.
No, see, that covers it. I think that covers it. So if that's your motion, would there be a second?
Yeah, just Jeff. I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. All right. So any more discussion on that? Does everybody understand the motion? And Kelsey, did you get what it actually is?
Yep, I got we want the Bureau to contact University of Toledo, inform them of the violation with Coke, and we want to pursue full snack and beverage rights when the contract expires in 2025.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have some.
Yeah. Okay, Tom.
If somebody else is going, I'll wait my turn.
I didn't hear who.
This is
Larry. Okay.
I don't know if people mention this, but if there's a way that we could get out of buying brand new equipment, on, you know, in a lot of these contracts. That, I mean, I have older snack machines that are really reliable, and, you know, if we're still going to put skins on stuff, they'll look just as good no matter what. I just think that's pretty costly, especially right now. And I just also, oh, that's it. That's it. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks,
Madam
Tom.
Chair, I just had a comment on the language of the motion. Inform UT of the illegality of the co-contract. I think it's kind of, we're getting very specific with how they're going to handle negotiations. I think it's more effective if we just say enter into negotiations with the University of Toledo to secure the beverage and snack contracts in 2025, and let them go through the whole illegality. Not what that's just my opinion, though. If the committee feels it should be there, then.
I get what you're saying. I don't know that we have to point out to them if we're waiting till 2025. I get what you're saying. I don't know that if we have to, you know, beat them over the head that they screwed up already. But tell them, look, we understand you're in this agreement. It's not, you know, we would like to have everything in 2025 and negotiate to come to some understanding that that's what's going to happen in 2025.
Scott, would you amend the motion? Or do you want a little bit of explanation why I think we should?
Anybody else's feedback first? I feel that we need to stand up and assert our right is the reason why I put that clause in there. But is there anybody else that has a comment about yay or nay with the violation with the co-contract?
I have another one, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I think if we run the risk of the Bureau denying our motion out of hand if we tell them what to say in their negotiations. If we put that final point on it, I'm expecting in the responses to this meeting to say Bureau does not adopt this recommendation.
Oh, okay, I have an idea, Madam Chair. It's Jeff. What if we were to rework the motion a little bit and change that language, take the illegality thing out, and put in there that we are going to ask that the college, you know, contact the Bureau so that we can negotiate for snack and beverage as required by law. I would point out that it is a requirement of law. That gets the idea across that, hey, you know, we understand and you understand that you should have done this. That's what Christy said. They should have done it in the first place. So let's get them to acknowledge that, and then hopefully, you know, things will get better. I don't know.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Scott.
I'm willing to modify the terminology of the motion to remove the illegality clause with Coke and put in what Jeff said about the fact of pursuing snack and beverage rights in accordance with the law and everything else.
Or the OAC, or however the Bureau would like to, you know, they can word it, you know, it's semantics to us, but to them, it may go over better if they say, you know, that they negotiate for snacks and beverages prior to the expiration of their current contract in 2025, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code. And I know that's jumbled. I made a mess of your motion, Scott.
Well, like I said, it's a community involvement right now. Kelsey, did you catch the wording that Jeff proposed there?
Could you go over that just one more time for me? Like the full version?
Jeff, do you want to?
So Kelsey, what we want to do is take out the part about the illegality, the illegal contract with Coke. But so read me the motion, please, without the illegality statement in it.
Okay. We want the Bureau to contact University of Toledo. We want to pursue full snack and beverage rights when the contract expires in 2025. That's it, with just the sentence removed before.
Do we just need to put on there in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code? I mean, in the committee's opinion, does that get the message across that we want them? And I think maybe we want to put in prior to the expiration of the current beverage contract. Because what I don't want them to do is sign some. I don't know. The state has limits on how long contracts can be. So if they sign a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions, which a lot of times is what they'll do, or a 5-year with extensions, I don't want them to get into a snack contract and go, oh, well, we already are in a snack contract. I would hope the bureaus, the way they would word this thing to them, it would say that we want both in 2025. But, I don't know. I know Christy wants a motion, but I want the motion to be of use to her. That's all.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Doug.
I think Ethan is on the line. I'd be interested in what his take on all this is. He's an attorney.
So when it comes to this, Doug, I mean, my office's job here is to pretty much advise on open meetings and litigation. Since this is a contract dispute and I don't have the terms of the contract in front of me, I can't give you guys an exact answer on what to do with this contract. I mean, when it comes to the motion here, I mean, I'm just trying to think through it here. The ability for you guys to do this, I mean, I would just try to make the motion as clear as possible for Christy to then be able to use this in the future. Since I don't have the contract in front of me or what the terms are between Toledo and their other vendor, I can't really give you guys an exact answer. Also, that's kind of out of my purview as for the office.
No, I was just wondering, Ethan.
Okay. It probably should just say something like, the committee recommends or moves that BSVI negotiate with the University of Toledo to pursue the vending rights for both snack and beverages beginning in 2025 in accordance with the administrative code. Or in accordance with law. In accordance with the law. This is actually the revised code, the Mini Randolph-Shepard Act. So we'll just say in accordance with the law.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Can we add the clause just about the fact of to coincide with the expiration of the Coke contract? So that
yes, that's in 2025 to coincide that. I can't speak. To coincide with the expiration of the current Coke contract would be go in there.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Tom.
I don't want to put Kelsey on the spot, but could we have the motion read back? Because I think there was one word in there that we need to change. I think the word pursue was used, and we need to change it to secure, because pursue could mean we talked and it didn't go anywhere. So sorry.
Very good. Thank you.
I just want to clarify. Do you guys want to hear the original motion or what Annette just said?
What I just said, I think, but change the word pursue to secure.
Okay. I was able to catch the committee moves that BSVI negotiate with the University of Toledo to secure the vending rights for both snack and beverages beginning in 2025 in accordance with the law to coincide with the expiration of the current Coke contract.
Anyone think that sounds good? And if it does, if you're fine with that, Scott, then you have to say that you made the original motion.
Right. I'm fine with amending the verbiage of the motion.
And I'm fine seconding the amendment.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Just so we're all legal and official. Is there any more discussion? Okay, calling for the vote. Scott?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Tom?
Yes.
Jim? What about Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
And Jim? If you're around. Okay, Jim stepped off or muted. Okay, it passes. All right. So I don't think, did anyone have any other kind of university related? Okay. We have a real quick thing to mention that Scott asked that we have on the agenda about temporary agreements. Scott, do you want to?
Yes. I was presented with a BTOA. At the top of the BTO, it lists my physical address for my business. And in section 6 of the agreement, it states that all communications from this point forward will be delivered to the above mentioned address. What I would like amended in the BTO, in future BTOAs, is that that statement reflects that communication will be in accordance with preferred method of communication the operators have established. And the reason why, the explanation for this is those of us that are of greatly diminished sight, if we were to receive a physical letter to the above mentioned address, we may not get it because there are some of us that our preferred method of communication is email because we use text to speech, or we may use Braille, and a physical letter would not abide by that according to the rules.
Honestly, it sounds like an antiquated line that's probably just gone forth because they've been breaking that for years now, sending emails and the like. So I think it's just as simple as, Christy, you guys just kind of want to look at that, and maybe we need to clean up the language a little bit.
So, Madam Chair, I guess I just don't understand the problem, I guess, because, and maybe Scott, you can explain it to me, because the rules state that we have to give documents and anything in preferred format. So is that not happening in this case? I guess that's where I'm a little confused. And I guess the other question is this like normal, or is it because of COVID that we're having the issues and, you know, the working from home? I guess that's my question. I don't quite see where we should be giving people in their preferred format. Again, the only issue with like the BTOAs is with, we still have a couple people that their preferred format is audio. That would be problematic for this, but I guess maybe you can explain it a little bit better. I'm sorry, I'm just totally.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm just trying to clarify the language within the BTOA. I agree with Annette that it's just an antiquated statement of saying that all future communication will be delivered to the above mentioned physical address. And, you know, all we need to do is, I understand completely what you're talking about with, you know, following legal of sending a physical letter to the address. All I'm asking is that it get amended to say that in addition to the physical letter going to the above mentioned address, that we will also send communication in preferred method, which is, you know, like I said, it's different for each operator, and it's what we've all preferred, whether that be large print or email, or as you mentioned, audio, that consultants will call an operator and read the document to them. That's my only request, is that it just get amended to include preferred method of communication.
I think it's a simple fix. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Christy, basically what Scott's saying is that right now the Bureau's signing agreements that is telling them they got to mail everything. Physically snail mail everything. And nobody wants that because nobody's doing it. You know, we're all doing emails and, you know, most people are. So that's all he's saying is that right now the agreement doesn't go along with what we're actually doing. It's not a huge, it's just old language and just something to pursue and look at and see if it needs cleaned up.
Madam Chair, we will take out that agreement and change that language before we, you know, we'll send it to you.
Okay.
And we'll go. That's fine. You know, I think I had heard that Scott had a question about it, and I know that anytime we change a form, we've got to actively participate. So we'll change that language and get that out to you guys. Sounds
good. Okay. Before we get on to the rule, we want to talk rules. The committee has some business to do at some point with grievance out there. But before we get into those pursuits, we had something come up this week involving one of our operators. And Christy and Greg asked that it be on the agenda. So, Christy?
So, Madam Chair, this is Greg. I'm
Greg,
here.
I'm sorry. I did
now.
not realize you were there. Well, either one of you who wants to pursue.
Yeah, so sorry I wasn't here at the beginning. I had my presence was requested at another meeting this morning. So,
and they outranked us. I mean, no.
You know what? There's not many, but this one did. So, yes. So we had, and I'm going to assume, Annette, that everybody knows what the incident was, or do we need to go over that again?
I do not know that for a fact. I
don't know what's going on.
Okay, well.
All right. So I believe it was Wednesday. Sally got a call from the ODOT district manager up in that oversees the Summit County area, that the operator was at the I-271 northbound and southbound filling the machines, and he was dressed in it was a penis costume. I don't know. I was trying to figure out some other way to say it, but spoke with the supervisor of the cleaning crew that was there, and said something, had an interaction with them, and there was complaints made to ODOT, and ODOT forwarded those on to us saying, we would like to know what you're going to do about this, because as you can imagine, they were not happy with what happened.
Oh my God, what an idiot.
So then yesterday, so in the meantime, Sally and Christy spoke with the operator. We let Annette and Tom know, and then yesterday, Director Marchbanks, the director of ODOT, sent us a letter saying that the operator is no longer allowed on any ODOT property or facilities. So we now have to take some action, and we wanted to actively participate with the group. We now have an operator who's not allowed on the property of his current facility due to an unfortunate incident, I guess. And what recommendations or what thoughts does OVRC have in meeting ODOT's that's not really even a request, ODOT's directive regarding the operator and this facility.
Greg, does ODOT understand how our bid process works with these rest stops?
The bid process, Doug, is that what you said?
Yeah, and insofar as the operator in question got obviously this stand fair and square through the established process, but obviously, if we need to do something about this operator, in the 20 some odd years I've been in the program, I've never seen the program just arbitrarily kick somebody out on directive of a grantor.
So let me circle back to your first question. I don't know if ODOT is 100% familiar with the exact bid process. I will tell you, I don't think to them, I don't know if that really matters because, at their rest areas, this happened. And while it hasn't blown up, so to speak, into a bigger issue or more complaints, they can't have something like this happening at one of their facilities. And that's kind of where they're at. And that, for ODOT, even though it was one of our operators and it was the BE and OOD program, the average person doesn't know that. And they just see that somebody filling the ODOT machines was dressed in an inappropriate costume.
Right, but it was whatever language exchanged that was really the problem, right?
No, I think I believe it was the whole situation, Doug. I don't believe they have one spot that they're more upset about than the other.
Right. Well, thank you.
Chair, Jim Davis.
Yes, Jim.
Are the person's employees allowed on the premises?
I don't know. The ODOT, again, they, the director and their legal counsel, they don't know the ins and outs of every operator's operation. But, so I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Madam
what their intent was.
Yes,
Madam
Jeff.
Chair, it's Jeff. This is, I hearken back to what Greg said. This is really unfortunate. And, I think there's the issue of the Bureau is going to have to do what they have to do. I think the question before us is, are we supportive of removing a person from their facility based on the fact that they will never again, as far as ODOT's concerned, have access? I think Jim's point was, are we in the business of having operators not be able in any way to access their facility and still keep their employment? I'm not indicating whether that's good or bad. All I'm saying is, historically, if an operator can't access their facility, even if for some undetermined amount of time, if not forever, then do we allow that operator to shove those responsibilities to someone else so they can still be in compliance with their agreement, or does that operator get removed from the facility? I think that's, in my judgment, that's the question here.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Doug.
Do we have another facility that's unoccupied or has been left by another operator that we could put this person into? Or is the choice here just to put him out of work?
So, Madam Chair, this is Greg.
Yes, Greg.
So, no, it's, and I don't think the goal is not to put him out of work. He's temping a couple other places at the moment, which would,
in my view, that nothing happened at those facilities. Nobody said he's banned. You know, nobody doesn't want him or had complaints at the other facilities. So this is
This whole thing is
in our view. In our view, this is strictly about the ODOT facility and properties. You know, I want to make sure we're clear. We're not talking about, you know, his license or anything. I think it's really about how do we handle and move forward with based on what ODOT has sent us in this letter.
Anybody have any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Tom.
could Greg read the letter to the committee so the committee understands exactly what ODOT said in the letter?
Sure. Hold on. Tell me.
I hate to put you on the spot, Greg. Annette told me
No,
to do
it's all right. Hold on. And I had to change all my passwords this morning. Now you're really testing me.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to know what the Bureau's initial plan is, because they have to have a position on this. They hold the contract with ODOT. They must have something in mind. I realize they're coming to the committee in compliance with the rules, but I'd really like to know if they have a plan already.
Well, let him
Hold
read
on
the
one
letter and then
second.
we'll talk what the plan
Yeah, give me.
is.
Let me see here.
I had to change all his passwords. Tom, were you trying to hack into Greg's computer there? I don't know.
Oh, Greg. Should we let him off the hook?
No, here it is. Sorry, I
Okay.
Unfortunately, I get more email than is. Why did you find it, Tom? Are you going to embarrass me that you?
No,
got
but
it?
I could if I need to. No, but I.
No,
I
hold
could
on.
if
Let
I
me go
need
to my. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Hold on, let him read the letter.
I withdraw.
Okay. Let's see. Dear Director Miller, thank you for sharing the December 15, 2020 report of the incident involving one of your Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired program vendors and one of our CRP janitorial contractors that occurred at ODOT's 271 Northwest area. As I'm sure we all can agree, this vendor, who admits to this incident, conducted himself in a very alarming and unprofessional manner at our facility. This conduct would appear to be in violation of OAC Code 3304-1-21-04, Section A 23, which requires the operator to operate in a professional manner, as well as Section 1D of the Bureau Grantor Agreement between your agency and ODOT, which also incorporates applicable state law provisions for business enterprise licensed operators to conduct business in a customer-focused and professional manner. Knowing that our rest areas are often the only contact a member of the traveling public has with our great state, this cannot be an image either of our agencies want to project. For these reasons, we must ask that you inform this operator that his access to our facilities has been revoked and that he is banned from providing future services at this facility and any ODOT facility. Sincerely, Jack Marchbanks, Director.
Madam Chair, thank
Yes,
you.
Tom.
Thank you, Greg. I think having heard that, it's pretty clear. And it's pretty clear in our rules as well that if an operator's access to a facility is revoked, that's one of the sections where the Bureau can terminate a BOA, because you can't have an operator under agreement to run a facility who can't go to the facility. So in my opinion, it's pretty cut and dry. And furthermore, I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, Tom, go ahead, finish, and then I can jump in.
Well, I guess regardless of my personal relationships with operators, my job on this committee is to represent the program as a whole and all the operators as a whole. And honestly, there's a lot of people's jobs who depend on ODOT and the goodwill of ODOT. And there's a lot of operators who have who have been, I guess, grateful to ODOT for the waiving of janitorial fees and other things that have gone on. And this puts us all in a very tough position. This makes our next contract negotiations more difficult. This embarrasses us as a program. And regardless of a particular operator, this is serious. A person felt harassed to the point where they had to write a complaint, and the director felt this was serious enough to send a letter to our director and to revoke this operator's access. And not only is that extremely serious, but also it's highly inappropriate for us to reward an operator who shows such poor judgment by awarding him another facility, as may have been being suggested a little while ago, which I know is not within our rules and is not going to happen. But this is serious. This is not a joke. This is not something we should sit back and say, well, it's so-and-so and it's okay because. If this were a business consultant who walked into a facility and performed the exact same actions in the exact same outfit, there would be no discussion. And I unfortunately for that operator, I don't believe there should be any discussion on this. It's very clear cut in my opinion.
I agree.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it's Greg. So I don't want to, Jeff had asked me a question also. And so Jeff, our discussions have run the gamut. When this first came, it was like, well, what does this amount to? Is this under the suspension provision for the 45 or 90 days? Does it rise to removal? But the game kind of changed a little bit with this letter yesterday where ODOT said he can't come here anymore. And it's kind of like, it doesn't leave us a whole lot of options other than him being removed from the facility. But, again, this is a big deal. And, we wanted to make sure that we talked with you guys and what your thoughts were. And if you had any other thoughts or recommendations or, what Tom just said, and before, when we move forward. So.
Madam Chair.
There's no option, I guess. But.
Yes. Larry, was that you?
Yeah, I didn't realize this was snowballing so big. I never received a call from the state, but I did speak with Tom about this issue. And I was concerned when it happened, but somebody mentioned maybe taking some sensitivity training or harassment training. Up until this point, I thought that was a great idea. Now, with the letter from ODOT, it's kind of a game changer. But is there a way for them to, maybe go with this idea?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Dave.
I just want to address Larry. Larry, it's pretty clear cut that they want him gone. And Tom, as you heard, made the point that this is a very important grantor to the program. So I don't know what was actually said or done, but I agree with Tom. There's no choice here. I would be embarrassed to try to talk ODOT into a lesser punishment.
Jeff, were you
Madam
starting
Chair,
to say something before? I thought Jeff tried to jump in at one point.
No, I
okay.
didn't, Madam Chair. It's
okay.
fine.
I'm sorry.
Thanks,
Go
Greg,
ahead,
for the
Tom.
answer, though.
First, I'd like to clarify that I would never say that we need to penalize an operator to protect our program. That's not a fair thing to say. What I am saying is this is a large grantor where we have a lot of other relationships, and we don't have any choice but to honor their wishes. That was my point.
What I just said.
There's a lot of other people affected. Well, Doug, you said that this is a grantor that a lot of other people depend on. And I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that this operator should take one for the team to protect the rest of us. I'm I guess, making it clear that we have an ongoing relationship with this grantor in a lot of different parts of the state, and we have no choice but to accept this grantor. And not only that, we can never force a grantor to take one of our operators and their property if they don't want them. But here's another one. And I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, and please, people don't get upset, but we do need to be better at keeping the local OVRC involved. I'm very disheartened to hear that this is the first Larry's hearing about this. I'm glad that the Bureau involved, and Ed and myself. I'm glad that we were made part of the conversation, but Larry shouldn't have been left
I agree with what, and actually, Tom, when we got through with this conversation, that was what I was going to bring that up. So I'm glad you did. Tom called Larry. Larry didn't. I called Larry, but it should have been somebody from the program should have contacted Larry. That is absolutely true.
So, Madam Chair, this is Christy, and again, two days ago, I asked Tom if he was going to call, and he said yes. Now, again, I think, and yesterday I can't even get into it, but it was a crazy day. We should have sent the letter to Larry too. I think that's what was missing, was that Larry is now just hearing about the letter, and that was my mistake. But it was my understanding that you guys were going to call, Tom was going to call Larry about the actual incident. So I knew, and we talked about it, we knew that Larry was going to be informed.
And Madam Chair, may I address that?
Yes.
Just because of the sensitivity of the topic, that's why I volunteered to call Larry, so that the Bureau wouldn't have to go through those details. There was some specific conversation that took place that wasn't related here that I was trying to spare the Bureau from, and also it's not a huge deal. And I'm not trying to make it a big deal, but I would like to, going forward, if Annette and I are copied on something, make sure the locals copied too, so that they're in the process. That's all.
Yep. Okay.
And yes, I could have forwarded it, and I didn't, and I'm just as much to blame. So if I'm going to point fingers, I'll point at myself.
Yep. Same here. Okay.
So this is Greg. So yeah, we can all agree that we'll make sure to be better about including the local committee. Not a problem. And Christy tried to fall on the sword there. I'm the one who sent it out, so I'm the one who didn't include Larry, and I apologize on that one. So, okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Yeah.
It seems to me that we have two separate issues right now. We have the facility that needs to be addressed and how we pursue moving forward with fulfilling our obligation with ODOT and the rest area consumers. And then there is the whole separate aspect of any possible disciplinary action with the operator. I don't want to broach that part right now. I'm specifically referring back to how we proceed forward with the facility itself. If the operator has been banned from the facility, that appears to all knowledge that operator is out, I believe that we have to declare someone as basically an immediate temporary agreement to take over the facility to fulfill our obligation, and then pursue posting the facility out at an appropriate time.
Right, and that part of it in and of itself, determining a temp and all this and that would definitely be a local issue. I don't think the committee needs to get bogged down in that. That's up for the local committee to determine, not only about who the temp would be, but posting and all of that. That would be their plan to make.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
the Bureau is looking for us to make a declaration about the operator. Is that what we have been presented with today?
We have to do that. The Bureau is fulfilling their obligation to actively participate with the committee. They're doing that by bringing it before us. I don't know that there has to be any kind of declaration. I don't know that there has to be any kind of motion. Okay. We're discussing it, and we're informed, and they've shared the letter with us, and pretty much told us where their intention is at this point. So unless somebody sees it differently, I don't know what else, or if somebody else has another point to make. Okay. So,
Madam
So, Madam Chair, can
Yes.
before we move on, I want to make sure we're all on the same page here a little bit, that the committee's not going to make a motion, but is the committee recommending anything? Is it, there's agreement that we need to make a removal from the facility? This is a big deal, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page and everybody as we move forward. I don't take this lightly. This is a big deal of removing somebody from a facility like this.
It is. No, absolutely.
Madam Chair.
Tom had something, and then somebody else, I think.
It was Jeff.
It's
fine,
Jeff.
Tom.
We'll go second one. Yep. All I was going to say is that, Greg, I understand your concern there, and I'm glad that you involved the committee in the process. However, I think it's a very cut and dry situation that is covered by the rules, and unless the committee sees some reason why the rules shouldn't be applied in this situation, I don't think you should require any input from the committee. I mean, as a member of the committee, I don't really have any to offer. I think the rules kind of cover it. I'm sorry, I yield the floor to Jeff.
Go ahead, Jeff.
That's fine. Madam Chair, I was just wondering if the Bureau would be willing to let the operator maybe resign rather than be shot. I mean, I understand what the goal here is, to satisfy the grantor's desire or the order, but it can help somebody's future in the program to not have a removal on their record. Or does the Bureau feel that they need to have this? It's a further penalty against the operator, I think, to have a removal. But
it could come back to haunt them in the future, a removal.
I was just hoping maybe we could get, if the operator's willing, have them resign rather than be removed immediately.
Yeah, this is Greg. I think whether we have to take the action or if the operator were to resign, it still would accomplish what ODOT is asking. So I really don't see any problem with that. I don't know if Christy or any of my crew see anything differently, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make sure we satisfy ODOT's letter saying that this person is not allowed on their property. So I would be perfectly fine with that.
Annette, this is Aaron. Can I speak or no?
Yes, Aaron. Under this, because of the circumstances, yeah.
Well, I since I have everybody on the phone here, I do want to sincerely apologize to everybody, and I hope this apology can get to ODOT as well. But in the letter, it says that I'm banned from the premises, but it doesn't say how long. I don't want to lose my job. Once again, I am truly sorry for what I did, and my judgment was not good. I have no reason to sit here and say that I'm going to try to justify it. I'm not. But I do want to say that there is no time frame on there. Can they ban me for like 30 days? I do have a plan put in action to where I can have somebody else run my facility. All I'm asking for is a second chance to prove myself to the state of Ohio and all the committee that I'm not a bad person, and I can run a facility and I can maintain a professional business environment at all times going forward. And this was never meant to waste anybody's time like it has. And that's what I want to say. And once again, I'm very sorry. And if you guys decide not to do this, I would like to resign if that is an option.
Okay.
So, this is Greg. So I appreciate the apology. I will say it's kind of put us in a bind, and ODOT is not happy, and they don't take lightly banning people from a facility. So I don't know if going back to them for anything is something we're willing to do.
Well, Madam Chair,
Yes, Tom.
could Greg read the relevant section around the access revocation? And Greg, I hate to make you go back in that email again, but I think there was something in there that addressed their
I thought
desire.
it said in the future. I
thought so too.
Yeah,
Okay, so the last, knowing that our rest areas are often the only contact a member of the traveling public has with our great state, this cannot be an image either of our agencies want to project. For these reasons, we must ask that you inform this operator that his access to our facilities has been revoked and that he is banned from providing future services at this facility and any ODOT facility.
Sounds pretty open-ended.
yeah. Well, I think it sounds like it says any future, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that doesn't, he's just resigning from that facility. He's not resigning from the program. Am I correct on that?
There has been, and Greg stated, there has not been or is no movement for revoking a license. So this is terminating the Bureau operator agreement.
Okay.
Okay, so
Madam Chair, it's Christy. The Bureau would accept a resignation. I just want to put that out there. We would accept a resignation.
okay. Is there any other discussions or anything? Okay. Then we will move on. And the Bureau, you guys will work with the local selection committee about continued operation. So, I don't know we go into the rules. I don't know where to start with the rules. We did rule 11 last time.
We do 12.
Yeah, I was going to say we have 12, but 12 has changed. We did 12 back in September for a pass-through. We probably did make some changes. I do not have that in Braille. The most updated changes to Rule 12. So anything that's happened since I think I got my package in September, anything I have here is it's older for 12, 13, 14. So I don't even know what this paper is. What is this? Ordinary decisions that's okay. So we can do, I don't think we've done a second pass where through Rule 5, Rule 10. Christy, you may need to help me out here with your notes. What we still need to go through the most recent pass through. I know
So
we have
Rule
5 and 10.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have that, there's Rule 5 and 6, which I think is going to take a lot of time to review. 7 and 8 we just did recently. 9 we did, and 11 we did in December. We skipped 10. We could do 10. We could do 12, which is the Ohio Vendors Representative Committee. And then 13 we could do, which is disciplinary procedures.
Okay. 12 and 13, I thought we did. I said, I don't think I have the most recent incarnation of those. Because I think we
Yeah, I
talked
don't think
about
we do either.
those. We talked about those since I got this Braille that I have here. Because we started with those in September. So at some point, I'm going to need what changes we've made over the last couple months updated in Braille. And
Okay.
probably, guys, I don't know if I can get that by the 29th, but that would be really cool if we could.
Yes. We'll make it happen.
Okay. So why don't we do 10? 10's probably a good rule to, because I do have the most recent real copy of it. And
So, Madam Chair, did everyone get yesterday? We sent out. Rick sent out a complete package of where we were, like a clean package of where we were. Did everyone get that?
yes.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, unless somebody says differently, I think that did go to everybody.
Did it come from Rick or did it come from Business Enterprise?
It came from Christy. No.
It came from Business Enterprise, I think. I think it came from the generic BE.
Oh, okay.
And there were some, Christy had some notation on there about some of the proposals. I think she had some things for 6 and for, excuse me, for 10. That was in the body of the email as well, that when we do those rules, we'll discuss.
Oh, there. Okay, from Christy. It is from Christy. From Christy. It says BE rules. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I had it.
Okay. So why don't we start with Rule 10? If nobody has, unless somebody would like to go a different route. 10's going to take.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, can I? Okay, Christy, when's the last set of these you sent to us? I've been digging and I can't find the stupid last one. I feel like there were changes after the last one I got. So can you? Is it hard for you to shoot that to me real quick, or is it? If it's a pain, don't worry about it. I'll just listen.
So here's the thing, and again, wish Rick were on here right now. So I had sent everyone out some stuff earlier this fall, but it did not include what we discussed in September and October, which was pretty much the end of the second pass, version 4. And then what Rick combined everything, but it doesn't have the track changes on it, but where everyone had agreed on in one big document yesterday. So I guess my question is one of two things. We can go off of, I can try to shoot you guys the latest of Rule 10, where we left off because Rule 10 we last reviewed in February 21st of 2020. And then Rule 12 and 13 and 14 were both in September. Or we can go off of the document that, again, doesn't necessarily have those track changes, but it's the exact same thing of what those track changes would say in that document yesterday. That was one big document.
And you sent that to everybody?
Yeah, it came yesterday afternoon, and it did come from Christie's email, not the BE email.
Oh, okay. I probably was looking for a bureau.
Yeah, I just brought it up. I apologize. I wanted to double check that. It did come from Christie.
I got the
one. I should know that
it
came with me. I should have known that it came from me, but it was like there was a fury yesterday. I was
yeah,
Christy, I don't have it. I'm sorry. I've got one from Amy, but I don't have one from you. Okay.
Okay, let me look.
Apparently, Jeff has marked all your emails to go to trash.
Yeah, that's yours, Greg, not hers.
Jeff, I just resent it to you.
Thank you. And so did Johnny D. So, okay, awesome. Thank you, guys.
So, like I said, I have in Braille everything that we did prior to September. Any changes we made after September, I don't have in Braille. So to go, someone else would have to do rules, 12, 13, the ones we've already kind of hit on then. I wouldn't be able to read the most updated version like we typically do. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like not being able to read along. So I don't absorb things as well listening as I do reading. So I think we should start with 10. I think 10's going to take some talking, but I think it's one we can deal with pretty good, unless somebody would like to go somewhere else or do a different one.
We're done with 12, right? Did we get done with? We're taking these in order.
Yes, we did 12 in September. We had some changes. We haven't. Well, I haven't seen the changes that we made in September are probably in that document that Christy just sent yesterday, the one you just got. So that would be the most updated one. That was the second pass through. So
the other day we did 11, and then because did we get all the way through 11, Annette?
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out in the time we have left if we'd be better served to definitely get through 12 so we can stamp it as, done. Or would you rather tackle 10?
Well,
Madam Chair, again, I think 10, my thing with 10 in my notes is that we pretty much were in agreement back in February on 10.
Okay.
We probably were, so it probably could be pretty quick that we go through. You did have you did have a proposed change to it though that you sent in your email yesterday, Christy.
Okay.
For 10.
Okay. Whatever you guys.
So, 10 is operator performance improvement, and I know back in February we thought we were in agreement, but I know we've had a lot of talk about 10 in the meantime too. So the most current draft I have since we've gone through it is BE shall inform an operator in writing when there is evidence that demonstrates a pattern that an operator is managing a facility in violation of any provision of Chapter 3304-121 of the Administrative Code, and shall place the operator on a performance improvement plan. The performance improvement plan shall. Now, Christy, in your email yesterday, you had an amendment to that you wanted to discuss. And I don't have that email where I can access it. So can you read that, or because I know that was in that paragraph.
Yes. BE shall inform an operator in writing when there is evidence that demonstrates a pattern that an operator is managing a facility in violation of any provision of Chapter 3304-121 of Administrative Code, or if the local selection panel determines that an operator failed to operate the facility in a professional manner in such a way that the operator's actions harms the reputation of the program. I think that's the new piece. Or if the local selection panel determines if an operator failed to operate the facility in a professional manner in such a way that the operator's actions harm the reputation of the program, and then back to, and shall place the operator on a performance improvement plan. The performance improvement plan shall. So again, it's giving us, in consultation with the, the local selection panel, an avenue that performance improvement plan could be an option, a tool.
two things I'm going to say with that. I know where you're going. We've done many rules where things that's happened have prompted rule changes. I hope we're not jumping right into that because of current events. But my thought would be, if we're going to bring the selection panel in, which I 100% endorse, it should be for both parts of that. So right now, the way you read that, the local selection panel comes in if you're kind of using the clause that the operator's actions are, messing with the reputation of the program. But the part about the pattern of rule violations does not have the local selection panel in it. So I would like to see the selection panel on both sides of that.
Yeah, it does.
I think it does, Annette.
Later it does, but not at this, not up here, not in this.
Yeah, it does. Maybe Christy did. Okay, Christy, read A again, because I know where Annette's going, but I think it's in here, Annette. I'm reading it along with Christy.
10A would be BE shall inform an operator in writing where there is evidence that demonstrates a pattern that an operator is managing a facility in violation of any provision of 3304-121 of Administrative Code, or if the local selection panel determines that an operator failed to operate a facility in a professional manner in such a way that the operator's actions harm the reputation of the program, and shall place the operator on a performance improvement plan. The performance improvement plan shall, and then it goes down, and once we get down to, again, 3, be drafted with participation from the OVRC selection panel. And then in B, it talks about the selection panel too, and majority vote and all of that. So we're not changing, we're just kind of adding in the piece with the failing of the operator's actions on the reputation, but ensuring that that also is just like the rest of it. I think we're putting the selection panel in the whole piece of it. I don't think at any point are we trying to eliminate the local selection panel in any of the actual performance improvement parts. We're not.
I get that. The way I'm reading this is, it says be drafted with the participation for the local selection panel. I'm talking about the determination that the PIP needs to happen in the first place. Let me see what this one says here about the majority vote. I think that's, agrees. They shall recommend to the director that BSVI in terms of, and the majority vote does have the local selection panel in determining if the operator has been successful. But the way you read paragraph A, the local selection panel gets to make the determination if a PIP is, the needed strategy, if the operator has, violated the reputation of the program, that piece of it. But the part about the pattern, it says BE shall inform an operator in writing when there is evidence that demonstrates a pattern that an operator is managing a facility. It doesn't say who gets to determine if that pattern has been demonstrated or if the evidence is there. That am I making sense to everybody?
I get it now.
Well, how do we fix it? How do we fix it?
So what if we do BE with active participation of the local selection panel shall inform an operator? That way because Sally always, currently Sally always emails, prior to one of these things in the past, has always emailed Doug and I and said, hey, we have a situation. I'm thinking this might be a thing for a good idea to put this person on a PIP, and then she'll run the PIP by us. And I don't know, is that what you're intending still, Christy?
Madam Chair, absolutely. And how I've changed it now is BE with active participation with the local selection panel shall inform an operator in writing where there is evidence that demonstrates a pattern that an operator is managing a facility in violation of any provision of Chapter 3304, 121 of the Administrative Code, or if the local selection panel determines that an operator failed to operate the facility in a professional manner in such a way that the operator's actions harm the reputation of the program, and shall place the operator on a performance improvement plan. The performance improvement plan shall. So
Okay.
I think that, yes, we've done all of that. It is still quite a big, long run-on sentence, but that's what it says now.
I'm happy with that change. So that
Yeah, me. I'm sorry, Annette. I didn't realize that's what you were after.
Yep. So
The only,
go ahead.
the only thing I will say is my concern with damage the reputation of the program is that is a broad statement and can be interpreted in many, many different ways. From you know, something silly being complained about to where in other cases it could be absolutely a legitimate problem, and I just don't want to see people end up in you know, on a performance improvement plan because I don't know, maybe somebody doesn't like and it wouldn't be, in my mind, wouldn't be inappropriate, but you know, maybe you have a handwritten sign that a machine is out of order or something while you're waiting on it to be repaired, and they get a complaint about it, and you know, they're saying, oh well, you know, it has to be done with an actual printer, or you're damaging. And I'm not saying they would, but I think we better be very careful with that phraseology, because while this group may not do it, we don't know who comes next or how they would interpret that. Thank you.
No, I get what you're saying, Frank, and I do like the selection panel being in there. The other, let's see here. Can you read it one more time? Just the part, Christy, about the reputation part.
The or if.
Yeah, the or if.
Or if the local selection panel determines that an operator failed to operate the facility in a professional manner in such a way that the operator's actions harm the reputation of the program, and shall place the operator on a performance improvement plan. Again, my 2 cents, Madam Chair, is that, again, it's the selection committee. It's not, no one is unilaterally making that decision. I'm assuming that the selection panel, you know, if they go back to the chair and get their input or whatnot, I think it's important to have that, you know, it's the selection panel.
Yeah. And I like it that you put in there operating their facility. That was the question I was going to have. That's why I had you reread it, because I didn't want somebody's what they were doing in their personal time being used against them. So,
I think we need to, Madam Chair, it's Jeff, I think we need to protect the program. I mean, you know, and the local selection panel, I've always been fond of that being the initial determining body. You know, I don't know. I get where Frank's coming from too. That, you know, you always have to look out for the dark side of things, but the area manager, the Bureau could not unilaterally invoke this. And they could bring it up, but you know, if the rep and alternate are like, no, that doesn't fly, you know, then the local selection panel would not determine that. It would go down, you know, 2/3 of the local selection panel say no. Yeah. Now there is always the fear that one person will disagree and 2 people will agree. So you face that with a PIP in general. So
I think it covers things. I do. Is it 100% foolproof? Probably not, but what do we have that is? I think it covers them. And like Jeff said, I think we have to protect the program too. So I don't have a problem with that rule, that change. Anybody else have any?
Annette, I have a question if I might be allowed to ask.
Yeah, we're doing rules, so I open it up a little bit more when we.
Well, the interesting thing about this change related to harming the reputation of the program, the only way that even the local selection panel can determine if harm has been done to the reputation of the program is to hear from people outside of the program to say, yeah, I don't think very highly of you any longer because this action was taken. So it's something that could be used without the actual harm having occurred. And I think Frank might have been going there a little bit too, but I do see that as a problem, that it would be possible for action to be taken against an operator when there wasn't actually any harm harm made to the reputation of the program. Yeah, I mean, it's a subjective thing. They could subjectively say, but harm to the program, harm to the program's reputation is an objective thing. So the only way they can determine that is if they've got something objective to say so. But I'm afraid it will be used subjectively, is my problem with that phrase.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
you might want to ask Ethan about that one.
You can use the whole PIP process can be subjective. I know where Derek's going. I just think it, I don't know. That's why we have 2 operators and 1 Bureau staff member on the local selection panel, though, too. Hopefully that,
And I would think, I'm trying to think of what the plan would look like in that this type of format. Someone's, this is a plan. This isn't a removal. It could be if somebody doesn't live up to the plan. But the plan is going to give them opportunity to fix the problem. So whatever they're doing that's damaging the reputation, if everyone determines they're on a plan, they're going to get the chance to fix it. So, I don't know what that would be. I would guess it would be, stop doing that. Whatever they're doing, you stop it. And that would be simply it.
It's also going to harm the operator that has the PIP in their ability to move to a different facility.
It does. Yeah, the selection still, I believe, has stuff in there about that. Anybody else think what about that addition? What your thoughts are? I guess folks are good with it. Okay. Unless somebody has changes or doesn't want it in there or anything, we'll move on. The performance improvement plan shall be provided to the operator in writing in an accessible format. State the violation. Yes.
Madam Chair, shouldn't that be in the operator's preferred format? Or does that matter anymore? Or does accessible cover that?
I think I'd have to look in definitions for what accessible format is, but I think the definition states it's the operators. If I'm
very
right
good
with that. Yeah.
Okay.
State the violations to be cured and the time frame to cure the violations. And be drafted with participation from the local OVRC selection panel. If the operator does not cure the violation within the stated time frame, the BE program manager shall make a recommendation to the local OVRC selection panel that the operator has not cured the matters listed in the performance improvement plan. If by majority vote the local OVRC selection panel agrees, they shall recommend to the director of BSVI that the terms of the performance improvement plan have not been met and direct BSVI to terminate the operator's BOA. If by majority vote the local OVRC selection panel disagrees with the recommendation of the BE program manager as to whether or not the terms of the performance plan have been met, the local OVRC selection panel and the BE program manager shall each make their recommendations to the director of BSVI. After reviewing both the recommendations from the BE program manager and the recommendation from the local OVRC selection panel, the director of BSVI shall ultimately decide whether the terms of the performance improvement plan have been successfully met. If the director of BSVI determines the terms of the performance improvement plan have not been successfully met, the director of BSVI shall terminate the operator's BOA in accordance with Rule 6 of the Administrative Code. If an OVRC member has, let's stop there. We'll get to that sentence. That goes on to another thing. Did we not have something on there? Hold on. No, that's not here. I thought we had talked about, and maybe we did and everybody denied it, that having some kind of thing about it wasn't an all or nothing thing, that you either remedied the situation and everything's good, or you didn't remedy the situation and now you lose your job. I thought we had a thing about giving people more time if we thought they'd made progress, making determinations like that.
Madam Chair, I thought there was like an extension that could be granted if there was significant progress. Maybe that was the old rules, old rules. I don't know.
I thought we had discussions about this, that we had, if somebody had been making significant changes, but they weren't all the way there yet. They still were having some troubles, but they were really working on it and showing a good faith effort that they were fixing things, that they could get more time to be on the plan.
We have done that.
Positive
We've done
that
that
we've talked
before.
about that. Yeah. What happened to that?
Madam Chair, again, I'm not quite sure. I can look back there on what was discussed back in July 19 of 19 and February 21st of 2020. But again, what I'm going off of is what we all principally agreed at the last meeting. At no point have we gone back and taken out anything. This was what was last agreed upon. So,
am I making this up?
So let me, let's go on to E, which you haven't gotten to. On receiving a written request from the operator or local selection panel for the good cause showed, the BSVI director may extend the time frame for violations to be cured in a performance improvement plan. So I think later on,
oh, okay. Maybe that's where it was. Okay. I tried to skim through to see if something was there, and I didn't think it would be down there in its own little spot. So, okay. That might take care of it, because I knew we talked about something with extensions. So when we get there, I apologize. I should have looked further ahead than I did to see if it was there. The only other part of this one sentence then is if an OVRC member has a personal interest or conflict of interest in relation to the operator or facility, that person shall voluntarily withdraw from the process described in this rule. So, so is everybody good then with all this other? Or I remember yes, Jeff.
Madam Chair, does the chair of the committee just automatically then assume or appoint that person's position if they have the personal conflict or whatever. I assume that, like in a normal selection, that
Yes.
happens automatically. It doesn't need to be restated.
I believe so. I don't remember us
Okay.
changing anything to do with that rule. That somewhere in the rules, I believe it's Rule 3 when it describes the selection panel.
You're right.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it says
All right.
that. If an operator is placed on 2 performance improvement plans for the same facility in a 24-month period, any further pattern of violations of the provisions of Chapter 3304-121 that would previously result in a performance improvement plan will result in termination of the BOA for that facility in accordance with 3304-121-6 of the Administrative Code.
Well, yeah.
Someone have something? Okay.
Hey, Annette.
Yes.
It's Derek.
Derek.
And I'm only bringing this up because Tom's not currently on the call, and Tom actually spoke to me yesterday about the previous discussion of the rule, and he's a bit puzzled by the notion in that if it's determined by the selection panel that an operator has completed the performance improvement plan satisfactorily, but the program manager disagrees, then they can get the BSVI director to void that decision. And he had some issues with that, so I'm only bringing that up on his behalf, and so that other people can take a look at that if they want to.
I'm here, Madam Chair. There's some circular language in there that says that it'll be determined by the local selection panel, and then the program manager, and then the director. And if you read that wording, it looks like the recommendation of the local selection panel or the decision of the local selection panel is a very minor part of that process. And at any point, if the Bureau disagrees with it, they can just throw it out. Well, if it's that easy to throw it out, why let us participate in the first place? Those local selection panels are supposed to be made up of people who will have a considered approach to evaluating the PIP and determining the completion of the PIP. And now that we're putting something in the rules that clearly says, at any point, if we disagree with you, we're not going to do what you said.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't know. I don't remember our discussions so long ago about where this language came from. But I think we recognize.
Another thing that needs to be remembered is the local selection panel is made up of Bureau staff members, so it's not like the committee would be doing something that didn't involve Bureau input.
I think we have recognized in the past that the director had the authority to do what they wanted. If they really thought hard and long that they're going to terminate the agreement, they were going to do it. What the selection panel vote did was give that operator some protection in order to, it's a lot dicier for the director to make that decision if they're going against the selection panel's wishes. And it gives the operator a lot more of a stronger leg to stand on. But you're right. This here basically says, well, the selection panel says one thing, program manager says something else. They're both going to run to the director and plead their case and see which side the director takes.
Madam Chair,
yeah.
The current rule states if the operator does not cure the violations within the stated time frame, the BSVI director shall terminate the operator's BOA. Upon request of the operator and for good cause shown, the BSVI director may extend the time for violations to be cured. So I think we've put actually in this new rule, again, more language to pump up the local selection panel in every piece of this.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I feel like we've given lip service to the local selection panel in this, but the local selection panel does not have any more power than they had under the old rule. If we leave this current language that says, if the local selection panel and the program manager disagree, well, I thought the intent of this was so the local selection panel will be making the decision, but now it's got to be a decision that the program manager approves of. And if it's not, then the director will do it. So it's right there. We have two chances to fail. And I don't see how that's any different than the current rule. Because in the current rule, the local selection panel doesn't make the decision. And the new rule, they don't either.
So, Madam Chair, can I just propose one thing here and one question to everyone? And again, you know, can't predict everything. But if, I'm just throwing this out there, if there is a violation of the rule and the two selection panel members are against, you know, the recommendation of that the person failed the PIP, right? And the Bureau person says that they did, or it's a 2-1 split or whatnot, and the director decides against the panel.
Right.
But it's still clearly a violation of the rule. Are we subject to other people complaining that, again, a rule was broken, it was not cured, there's evidence that it wasn't cured, but again, people showed that, well, we're gonna ignore the rules, ignore the fact that it was clear, the evidence was clear that they didn't cure it, and just because of selection, the majority of the selection says it was cured, does that not, you know, I don't know, you get into the legalities of this, and I do worry about that. Now, I can't think, can you think of a selection? I think that, again, the area managers have been excellent at the selection panels and getting votes and making sure that everything's aligned.
Well, I would think in your scenario, the proof that the rule was not still being violated was that the selection panel voted that it wasn't. So I don't see a circumstance where a local selection panel, someone's blatantly still violating the rule. They haven't fulfilled their PIP. They haven't been successful in remedying the violations, and the selection panel still saying they have.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
When I said before, when I said that the selection panel is supposed to have a very careful and considered approach, and the members, the OVRC members of the selection panel they're not there just to give, hey, you're an operator, we're siding with you. Bureau, we're going to argue with. They're there to carefully consider all the ins and outs of this, the same way we do in these committee meetings here. It's just a smaller version of this. But I would hope that there would never be that big of a disagreement where it's, well, you know, you violated the rule. No, I didn't violate the rule. Okay. Selection panel decisions don't work that way. It's not everyone always agrees, but it's a 3-2 thing. That's why it's not left up to one person. But now it's a 3-2 thing there, or I'm sorry, it's a 1-2 thing in the selection panel. Then it goes to the program manager. Then it goes to the director. So who are those original two people who agreed in that selection panel could be overturned at any point? So why do it in the first place? I don't know. Again, it goes back to, we felt that the local panels were in a better position to understand the implications of that caused the PIP in the first place, and also that they would be a good judge of whether or not the PIP was completed. So we wanted them to have more input. But that's not what's occurring here in this draft.
So, Madam Chair, this is Greg.
That's great.
So, you know, this, the purpose of this, and I kind of harken back to, you know, this is where we sit, where you guys sit, when I've heard people say, well, we understand why you're doing this, but we don't know what everybody else is going to do in the future, or somebody who's not on this group does this. So this is kind of the safety net if there happens to be an issue that, you know, the local committee or the group, and I'm not saying it's both operators, I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a decision that's made that goes against, and that either the program manager or the director himself does not agree with, and making sure that things can be taken care of and handled. Now, and that's what that is. The idea is that everything is still supposed to be, you know, on the recommendation and through the local committees. And, you know, I believe for the most part, you know, I can't think of one, but I'm not in it, but, you know, we don't disagree very often with the local committees, if at all. But this is kind of that, as you guys talk about constructing the rules, this is our piece where, you know, we feel like we need to have that. I don't want to, let's not get out of jail free, but you know, we need to make sure that if there's something going on and if something crazy should happen in the local committee, like, we need that protection for the agency and the program to make a decision or do something that we really feel needs done.
Madam Chair.
You know, I'm sorry.
Tom and then Jeff. Yep.
I was just going to say, I appreciate Greg's candor. I appreciate him explaining why it's there. I see that. But again, I don't, as long as we leave it there in its current configuration, we may be able to do something. We might be able to tweak this a little bit more to address your concerns. However, this here, incorporating something into the rules that lets the opinion of a local selection panel be pushed aside with very little effort. And I just, if we're trying to give people input, we should probably make sure that that input counts for something. And I yield the floor back, ma'am.
Jeff?
Well, yeah, two things. I mean, I was involved in a PIP years ago where, and Annette, you may have even been involved in this, I can't remember, where we thought the person failed miserably and the BSBI director, the then director, overturned our decision in favor of not removing the operator. Greg is very good about not saying something that Director Casto used to say at every other meeting. Ultimately, I'm responsible for the goings on in, you know, the program. And I think that this is Greg's trump card here, and or any BSBI director. You know, they do carry the ultimate responsibility. OVRC committees come and go, and I know this may be unpopular, but I have seen an OVRC committee take negative action, a local panel, against an operator they didn't like. Okay, I'm not saying it was career ending, but it definitely has been manipulative. I've seen it happen in over 30 years, and it does go on. This is a further protection for that as well. I get where Tom's coming from. You know, we want a seat at the table that means something, but also, like a lot of things, you're trying to protect the integrity of the program as well. You know, so that's just my 2 cents.
I guess the part I get that, and I think, like I said earlier, I recognize the director does get the ultimate decision, and he can go against the selection panel's verdict or vote, but he would do so at grave danger to, you know, his ability to defend that in a grievance. I would think. I don't like this whole, well, we say one thing and the program manager says something else, so we both go running to the director and plead our cases. I think the selection panel should vote, and then the director decides. They're going to stick with the vote or not. Yes.
If the case is that they want the program manager to have input on these determinations, then make the program manager a part of the selection panel.
That's exactly who should, yeah. That's a very good point. In fact, I'm not sure that in some rule form, I don't know if it's our new draft or the current rule or what, the selection panels were always to be the program manager, and they were to use their, you know, or it said or designee. And 9 times out of 10 they picked the area managers to be the designees. I know we've had program managers in the past who did not that. They sat on these things themselves.
Ron Miller always sat on them.
So, Madam Chair, one way I see this being addressed and still, I think, satisfies my concern and the others and also satisfies Greg's is to say, from now on, the program manager will sit in on the local selection panels, or, you know, if the program manager chooses not to, that's their choice. However, And if the program manager or the director disagrees with the local selection panel, they can overrule it. But it takes out that second verification by the program manager of the local selection panel's decision, because now the program manager was a part of it.
Bureau
So,
folks,
Madam Chair,
go ahead. Yep.
Madam Chair, here's my issue with that. If the program manager, are you suggesting the program manager and area manager? So now you've got two OVRC and two Bureau.
No.
No, I'm suggesting that the program manager and the two OVRC reps for the area, or the chair if there's only one, or you know how that whole thing works out.
So
I'm suggesting still a three-person panel.
So here's my issue with that, Madam Chair, is that, and I'm not trying to get out of this, but again, I don't have the lawyer on the lawyers on the phone. I don't know if this goes to grievance, and me being the program manager and me then listening to, the informal of the grievance. I think that that's kind of why the program manager isn't in there, that level, that therefore the program manager, here's the grievance, is part of the informal, part of a possible resolution, then the program rep at a hearing if necessary. So that would be my concern there.
That doesn't
And
fix
the
this, though.
The local selection panel, as defined in rules and everything else, when we're doing selections and all that, is an area manager and two reps.
Yeah. Well,
Madam Chair, can I summarize my objection, and then I'll leave it be and let everybody argue it out?
Yes.
The current draft rule feels like the local selection panel's recommendation will go through a two-step review process. I do not object to the director having the ultimate decision, but I do feel like that we're now incorporating this two-step review into the decision of the local selection panel. That's all I'm arguing. I'm not arguing that the director shouldn't have a say.
I agree. I think
So,
we'd feel
Madam
better
Chair,
if we
so
got rid of this whole program manager business out of here. Yeah, the local selection committee makes their vote. It goes to the director, and he gets to decide what happens from there. I don't think there should be this.
And I lied again. I'm not going
to. Both groups gets to plead their case to the director.
Madam Chair,
I lied.
Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to throw it out there, Jeff, that I'm not trying to push the program manager out of it. I'm trying to bring the program manager more into the first decision, and that I'm just trying to eliminate that second review. That's all.
Well,
right. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
But Madam Chair, there's a reason Christie's going to let it go, and that's because the program manager is going to see it anyway. I mean, that's the bottom line. If I were in Greg's position, I would take the recommendation of the local selection panel. I would talk to the program manager about it, frankly. Now, that's his choice to do that or not do that. But I'm just telling you guys, mechanically in this program, that's how it works.
That's true.
So you can take it out of the rule for appearance's sake, but it's going to happen anyway. So, whatever.
That's true.
Madam Chair, this is Derek.
Yes.
I just want to point out a couple of things. And the first one is, not all PIPs are created because there's a rules violation. You just proved that a little bit ago by adding new language to the rules. That's not a rules violation. That's something else. But also, you're likening this process now to a 119 hearing. If you have a 119 hearing in the program, no matter what the outcome of that is, the program director, the BSVI director can choose to accept or reject that, regardless of what all the work that was done to come to that conclusion by the hearing officer. You're doing the same thing here, and that's what's objectionable. That's not.
But that's always been the case.
What's always been the case?
It's not always been written in rule, but it has always been the case that the director had final authority over that. Jeff's point from earlier was true.
All right, well, finish my point then. Do you want the program manager to have final say in a selection? Do you want the BSBI director to have final say in a selection? Because that's what you've done. If you give authority to the selection panel to make a decision, it should be final. The BSBI director can't come in and say, I don't like who you selected they can't do that. They can't change the outcome of a selection. So why can they change the outcome of this? It's not a buffer. It's a giving them the decision. So you have to decide whether you want the selection panel to make the decision or whether you want the BSBI director to make the decision. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
I'm sorry, there's a big difference between a selection and this. I don't know how you can compare the two, Derek. I know where you're coming from, but there's a difference.
Yep. There's too much room for abuse, especially if PIPs aren't strictly about rules violations. And I'm pointing that at Greg. I'm pointing that at past bad actors and potential future bad actors.
Madam
Christie,
Chair?
Yes.
So, but the problem is that if it goes to grievance, it's the program, it's the Bureau that has to defend it. It's not the individual selection members that defend it. It's the Bureau that defends it.
That's true of a selection.
Yep.
The selection panel provides it, but the selection panel isn't one that receives the grievance.
The big difference between a selection, and I see where you're going, Derek, and I'm trying to float out, but the big difference in a selection compared to this is the selection has set scoring criteria. The selection panel doesn't just take everybody and put their names out there and say, who do we think should do it? They're set scores. And so the director to say, I'm throwing out the scores, I'm throwing out all of this, and I'm going to pick who I want in there. I mean, that would never fly. He could probably lose his job over it in the long run. You know, we have a set system. This year's not a set system. I mean, if we had a scoring procedure, and Lord knows we don't want to get into that, but if we did, and the selection to determine if the PIP had been had been worked with and successfully completed, I would think the director would have a lot harder time going against it. And I think the director has a hard time. I think it's a hard road for him to follow if he goes against the selection panel anyway. He's going to have a lot of explaining to do in a grievance if you had a selection panel by majority vote say, we thought this guy was successful in the PIP, and here's why we think he was successful in the PIP. He did this, he did that, and the director says, nope, I'm going to ignore that. And it's going to be a long, hard day for him in a hearing.
Not if you give him the permission to do so by rule, which you've done. A hearing officer is never going to say, well, you weren't entitled to make that decision. A hearing officer is going to say, of course you could make that decision. It's in the rule.
And I don't like it being in the rule.
Only for this, though, Derek, I don't understand your correlation of the two things. Just doesn't make sense to me. I guess that's the trouble I'm having. We're not giving the BSBI director any power he's not already had. I don't get it.
Well, what do you mean? You mean?
Well, I'm trying to understand. When you brought the selection process into it, I guess it muddied it in my mind, Derek, because I'm not seeing the BSBI director already has autonomy basically over this process under the current rules. He's going to maintain some of that ultimate decision making, I should say, not autonomy, but and he's going to maintain that. A selection has its own governing rules that dictate how that's handled. If you disagree with a selection, there is a prescribed path for dealing with that. This is separate from that. I just don't get it. So
I'm just saying that whether the rule now is that he gets the director gets to make the decision or not, I think we were attempting to change the rule by including the selection panel so that the ultimate authority wasn't theirs.
Oh, you're not going to. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I won't place in the. Okay, I got it now, Derek. Okay.
I don't. One
think this
thing.
local selection panel is perfectly capable of making a rational decision about whether a person has satisfied the PIP or not. I don't think there needs to be any special power for the director to overturn that. Either the local selection panel is capable of making that decision, or they're not. And if we don't think they are, then don't put it in the rule. Don't waste anybody's time. Just let the BSBI director decide it right from the get-go. Otherwise, give them the authority. The way we give that authority to them for all kinds of other things.
The one thing I will say is I agree that I don't know that we have to write that in the rule. I don't know why that's showing up in the rule when the director, I think we all agree he's always had that authority. Why all of a sudden are we putting it in the rule now? I do see Derek's point in that. We don't want there to be something that's granted that makes it a stronger thing. I want if the director usurps the authority of the selection panel, like I said, I want that to be a blatant violation somewhere. I want him to have to prove that very strongly in a hearing. This is why I did it.
Okay, but Madam Chair, here's the thing, and this one. Okay, so in the case where the BSBI director disagreed with the selection panel's decision that the operator did not satisfy the terms of the PIP, okay? Well, again, they're being tugged at by the program manager, whispering in their ear or having consultation with them, possibly their legal department, on some angles of this that the local selection. I mean, we're just operators. I am not an administrator. I am not an attorney. I don't have access to the same resources they have. I don't have access to some of the precedents that their lawyers do. What if I made the wrong decision and they realize that? And again, their job is to protect the program as a whole too. I'm not just talking about if the committee or the local selection panel says no, they did satisfy it, and then the BSBI director pulls them back. I think we're, always assuming that decision goes against the operator, and it won't always happen that way. It could go in favor of the operator. You know what I'm saying?
Your point is ironic. The one time this actually came about was in the operator's benefit. The selection panel believed the operator should have been terminated, and the director said, "No, we're not going to take them out." So
no, and that was frustrating.
Yeah, ironically, yeah. The one time this actually that I know of up front, that there may be other instances I'm not thinking of, but the one time I know of when the director used that authority, it was to protect the operator against what the selection panel did.
Yep.
That part is true.
So if the selection panel isn't capable of making a good decision, then they shouldn't be given the opportunity to make the decision to begin with, regardless of which way it cuts. Jeff just made a very good argument about why it shouldn't be in the local committees and anyway. But so I think that's
listen.
Hey, do you want to trust the committee or don't you? And if you don't, then don't even have the process. It's a waste of time. But if you do trust the committee, don't allow it to be overridden so easily. That's the decision that has to be made. Should it go before the local committee to begin with or not? And if it should, it has to mean something. And if it shouldn't, don't waste your time.
It absolutely
I think it does
should.
mean something. I think it does mean something, though. I think what you're saying, Derek, is when it comes right down to it, it doesn't. And when it comes right down to it, I'm not legally responsible either. So.
So where do we go here?
Chair,
yes, Frank.
Madam Chair, to Derek. Derek, what is your do you have a proposed change or language that you would like to see changed or reworded or something of that nature?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have an opinion about this, and I appreciate that it would be a hard decision to make what the rule should be, but I think we were headed in the direction of we don't want it to solely be a decision made by the BSBI director. We want to involve the local committee because we trust that they, unlike Jeff is right. I mean, we don't have access to everything that an administrator would, but also an administrator doesn't have access to everything that we would as operators or as elected representatives either. So I just think it's a question of who best to make that decision in most cases. And I think the best way for the decisions about PIPs to be made as to whether they've been satisfied or not are best made by the two representatives and the area manager, not by the program director, not by the BSBI director. I don't think they're as well equipped as the other three people to make the decision as to whether a PIP's been satisfied or not. That's my recommendation, what the rules should be. They have sole authority to determine whether they should have sole authority as to whether the person goes on the PIP to begin with, and sole authority as to whether it was satisfied or not. There's no need for anything else. Now, the grievance process can kick in after that, and then, but that's true of everything in the program. That's my recommendation. And I might be wrong, and it's a difficult decision. It's hard to go either way, but I don't think it should be a mix of both. It's one or the other. Either give it to the management or give it to the selection panel. And the selection panel is made up of management. I mean, partially of management anyway. So that's my recommendation. Every argument that we're all making cuts both ways. You just got to pick one, but you can't have both.
What does history tell us, Madam Chair? Does history tell us this has been a problem with the BSBI director overturning decisions? You mentioned that you know of it only happening once, and that's all I knew of it happening. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened, unbeknownst to me. So
I can't think of any other time. But to Derek's point, it's never written so blatantly in the rule as it is now. Right now, in our current rules, we do a PIP. Say the selection panel says it's been successfully, successfully achieved. That the PIP the operator's been successful in completing the PIP. The director really makes no decision at that point that I know of. Greg, you'll correct me if I'm wrong in that, but the committee has spoken unless there's some big reason why not. I think if it's just a general, the guy wasn't filling his machines real well and all this and that, the selection panel says, okay, he fixed it, now he's doing a good job. I don't even know if that goes to the director when the selection panel spoke at that point, unless there's some clear reason why BSBI thinks the selection panel messed up. This, I think, doesn't this basically make the director have to make a decision whether he's going to accept the selection panels?
No, Madam Chair, and maybe that's where. So, and maybe the language needs clarified, or it doesn't mean. And oh my goodness, no, I do not want to be weighing in on every. It's if there is a disagreement and what the committee votes on, or there's some problem administratively, legally on what the committee's decision is. And correct me if I'm wrong there, Christy, like I don't believe that the intent of this was to involve me in every single committee decision. You know what I'm thinking, Madam Chair? You know what I'm thinking? And I wish I probably have the rule book somewhere. I'm wondering if it used to get kicked to the BSBI director if the recommendation was they failed it and they need to be removed. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it was successful, if the local selection panel when they would determine it was successful, it kind of stopped right there. But if they said it wasn't, since the BSVI director was the one who had the move on the agreement, you know, that's what I'm wondering now. Thinking back, I wonder if it was just like Greg said, the language didn't involve the BSVI director right away, but there had to be a trigger for them to get involved.
Yeah, and you know, I'm reading this again, and it doesn't, Greg's right, it doesn't go to him for all of them. It goes to the program manager for all of them. And there's where the problem is lying, I think, with what I'm reading here. The program manager is making their decision up front. And then they take it to the selection panel. And if the selection panel doesn't agree with what the program manager had to say, that's when it kicks into the director. So it's the program manager that's sorry, Christy, that's the fly in the ointment here. Because the program manager is making a decision all on their own. They've decided. The selection committee decides. If the selection committee doesn't agree with the program manager, then they both go, you know, crying to the director about why they disagree, and then the director decides. So the problem here isn't so much, I think, the director having a thing. I think it's the program manager having an opinion and making some kind of a decision outside of the selection panel. And
So,
that
Madam
actually
Chair,
goes against what Christy's already said. Christy, you were saying you know, that you wanted the program manager to steer clear of this because of dealing with possible grievances and the informal and all that. But according to the way this is written, your position's making a decision.
So, Madam Chair, I agree with you. I don't think the program manager should make the decision. It should be the local selection panel should make the recommendation. But ultimately, and I think the program manager should not be a part of that, but ultimately, it should be the recommendation to the BSVI director who ultimately makes the decision. That's what I think, or that's exactly what I think, because right now it says the operator, again, the BSVI director shall terminate. And again, everything that everyone has said, I think it would have to be a very rare circumstance. And again, the program would have to defend if they went against the selection panel, but there's avenues to do that. So I agree with taking the program manager out of that, so I don't know how to rewrite it though. If the majority vote, the local selection panel recommends to the BSVI director, is that what?
I don't know how to get to where you're going. I don't think there should be any back and forth here. The local selection panel makes its decision, period. And then somewhere, sometime back, you know, in y'all's offices, you say, boy, that selection panel screwed up. This is a big problem. The director, I mean, he has that authority, but it shouldn't be this going back and forth. And, you know, 'cause this thing has it that the program manager made a decision. Because in order to disagree with the selection panel, that means you made a decision, or the person in your job made a decision. They shouldn't do that. So the local selection panel, they vote, and I don't know if we need to even go further from there. They vote, and that's that. And if the program feels that the selection panel screwed up, then that's, you know, you got to go forward with it and do what you want to do. But ultimately, the operator, you're going to have to defend it.
So, Madam Chair, can I propose some language?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. If the operator does not cure violations within the stated time frame, the BE program manager, no, got to take me out of there. Got to take me out of there. The operator does not cure violations within the stated time frame. The local selection panel. I'm doing this on the fly.
I know, that's okay.
I'm not as good as Rick.
Why don't we just say, get rid of all this recommending and all this garbage of recommending and stuff. Say, wipe this whole thing. If the operator does not cure the violations, we're already starting on a bad note right there. At the end of the time period of the PIP, the local selection panel shall convene to determine by majority vote if the operator has been successful in curing the violations. There's no recommendations that need to be thrown out there. There's no, all of this. The selection panel gets together when the time frame is up on the PIP. And they're going to vote as to whether the operator was successful or not. If they were successful, then everything is good. If they were not successful, then they would vote and the director would, we have the thing about the extension later, but then the director would, terminate their agreement. Because all this recommending beforehand, this thing like I said, starting on a negative vote. The program managers already made their decision. They said, we don't believe this person has cured it. Come and confirm this for us.
So again, I think I need to go back and we need to work on this language and talk about it on the 29th. Because at the end of the day, you've had two scenarios, and you're saying that if the local selection committee meet and it's a 2-1, that they've been successful, it ends there. And I have a problem with that. I ultimately think that, it would be a very rare thing, but I think that the tool is that ultimately it is the BSVI director that can take that recommendation. I think it's a recommendation. I don't think it needs to go to the program manager, but because ultimately it is the BSVI director that has the power to terminate BOAs.
Plus we need down there a seasoned tree, isn't that funny?
Hey, Doug, can you mute? But yeah, I think it needs rewritten.
To your example, too, that if the panel recommends that someone has not successfully completed their PIP and the program, the director thinks differently, again, it could overturn the recommendation on that as well. Ultimately, I think it is a recommendation from the local selection committee that goes to the BSVI director that makes the ultimate say. But he waives that, he or she will waive that recommendation heavily.
I'm not going to dispute that the director has the authority to make the final decision. I will dispute that it is a recommendation. It is a decision by the selection panel. If he is, if he overturns that, he's overturning their decision, not their recommendation. A recommendation is something that you can take it or leave it, and we're fine with it. It is their decision. And I said, I agree. I believe the director has that authority to overturn that, but it's still a decision. It's not a recommendation.
And Madam Chair, again, I don't necessarily have a problem with the word decision versus recommendation. I need to get that. We need to think about that and mull it over, because
okay,
we'll but I can't on the fly just come up with something, but I've written down comments, and I think we need to go on to the next piece of this. And we will
I'm good with that.
propose,
We'll come back to
we'll
it.
propose. Okay.
That's why we have extra meetings in here, so. All right. If an operator is placed on, okay, we did that part already, the two performance improvement things. Pursuant to 3304, 121.6, blah, 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 the director of BSBI may terminate a B or TBOA at any time and without cause. Here's my question. Why is that even there if it's already in another rule? I mean, I don't care. We know they can.
Okay, wait. Can you repeat that? The one that
it was D.
Said? So
letter D says, pursuant to 3304, 121.6, and it gives a bunch of letters, the director of BSBI may terminate a TBOA at any time and without cause. I don't even know why that.
We deleted that. It's deleted.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Stop. It's deleted.
All right. Well, okay. It's my old copy then. Upon receiving a written request from an operator and for good cause shown, the BSBI director may extend the time frame for violations to be cured in a performance improvement plan. Can we discuss not making that the BSBI director, but making that the selection panel? Extend the time frame? I'm just thinking, why would, I don't know why that would go up to the director's level to extend the time frame.
So, Madam Chair, I think part of it is logistics too. Like if there's a time frame and there's some incident and the logistics of getting the selection committee together, I again, this is what it's in there now. I don't think that this is to keep it here. I don't know, Greg, do you have an opinion about this?
No? Did we lose Greg? If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted and I had a whole, yeah. So I feel like this is kind of like the same, should be the same, I don't know if we want to call it process or whatever, as what we were just talking about previously, in that, you know, the local committee looks at it and they vote on an extension or not an extension. But if there's some issue that the BSVI director could ultimately weigh in on whether, if there's some issue that the program, or in Jeff's case, if maybe the operators on the committee, one of them disagrees, can bring forward. I guess I don't feel like I should be the final say every time, obviously, again, but if we're going to have the local committee work, and they're the ones who've been working and talking about these PIPs, but, you know, if we're talking about an extension, you know, if there's some issue that one of the three raises, then it could go to me as ultimately my decision to extend or not extend the time frame.
Yeah, and I don't have necessarily a problem with that, but according to this rule, you're the sole person that gets to even decide on the extension, and that's what I don't like. I think that actually could bog you down in some things.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, it used to say, upon receiving written requests from an operator and for good cause shown, the BSBI director may extend the time frame. And we added in there the last time, on receiving written requests from an operator or local selection panel. So again, I think that the local selection panel, we've put them in this process. And that the request can come through the operator, through the local selection panel. I think that they should be conferred. But again, I think ultimately it should be the BSBI that determines the time frame for the violation.
Yeah, but where does it say? I mean, I apologize if I have an old copy. Are you reading
I
it
think
from
you
the
have a
current rule or the
Yeah,
draft?
from the current, yeah. No, not from the current rule, from the latest draft. And I'm not convinced that you have the latest draft.
Okay, I'm
But
not
this was
convinced
done
of that
in
now
December.
either. So,
Right. On receiving a written request from an operator or local selection panel, that or local selection panel is new, and for good cause shown, the BSCI director may extend the time frame for violations to be cured in a performance improvement plan.
okay, that does fit. Okay, so I probably cried about that before and it got put in there. So, everyone good then with that?
And do you have an F for this rule?
I do have
on
an
your
F.
copy?
My F is that whole nothing in this rule modifies Rule 6 of the Administrative Code regarding the immediate temporary suspension of the BOA and loss of a facility as defined in said rule.
Right.
I do have that here.
Yep.
And that's my end of Rule 10. So, yeah, I really do need to get an updated copy in Braille of everything.
Yep, I will work on that Monday with Kim and we'll get that out to you.
Okay.
Does
So that's
anyone
it.
else need Braille? Does anyone else need a Braille copy?
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
That is-
Christy, I was muted. I could use a Braille copy.
Okay.
I was wondering if you were going to speak up, Scott. I knew you're our other Braille reader, so.
Right.
16. Okay, so did anyone have anything else with Rule 10? Okay. So, now, I said 12. I know I do not have the most recent copy of 12, 13, and 14. That I'm absolutely sure of. So, it's up to the committee on what we want to do with those rules. I would not be able, I don't want to, I thought I had the most recent copy of 10. I obviously don't. I hate going through these rules when I can't read along, I'll tell you that. But we can we have 6 and we have 5 we haven't done yet. Those are going to take some more talk, so it's up to everybody what we want to do. Anybody got a
Madam
suggestion?
Chair, we have about 40 minutes.
Yes. Well, we have about 40 minutes before we're not on a we're not what the heck is it? I know Kelsey at some point has to have lunch. We don't want Greg getting in trouble.
I appreciate it, Annette. I don't need union problems.
I know. Nobody needs union problems, that's for sure. So do we
My vote
want
is we
to
keep pushing through.
Okay.
I don't know. What are we supposed to do? I don't know.
We can jump in. I think 5 and 6 are the two we have not even touched yet on this round.
Am I supposed to like make a point every time? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to keep going and getting tested.
Somebody's talking and not muted. So, if we want to go forward, anyone have a preference for 5 or 6?
So,
5
Madam Chair,
all
this is
about
Greg.
inventory. Yes, Greg.
So I don't have the rest of the agenda in front of me. I don't know if you've gone through everything.
No, we have one major thing we still have to do.
Okay. And then I know based on all how the and it's good discussion goes, if 5 and 6 have a lot to talk about, I don't know if we should start those at 12:20. Are there any other of the other ones we've gone over a couple times that we've agreed upon at the last one and we just needed to update that we can run through to kind of, put to bed, so to speak, or if there's one last line or section that we just need to finish up before we dive into something that's a big undertaking that maybe we should save for the 29th?
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't had, after our last run through, I don't have the number. So or the latest version. So until I see that, I'm kind of a little bit lost on where we are with some of those, with the final language. So honestly, I'm thinking the committee should go on and tend to the business at hand that we still have to tend to. And then we can decide about if we want to do anything else more with the rules, or if we want to wait till the 29th.
Madam Chair, would it be helpful if to continue the discussion once we made sure everybody had the most recent updates for the 29th, so that everybody has a chance to review? And I'm not trying to push off rules discussion. We've got a lot to talk about, but I also don't want people to feel like it is tough if you don't have the current version in front of you, even though people are talking and reading it to you. So I just want to make sure that I don't want us to do a bunch of work and then it gets lost because, anyway, I just want to do what works best for everybody on the committee, I guess.
The only ones that we haven't done that I would feel even remotely comfortable doing would be 5 or 6, and I believe I have the most recent update. Those are going to take a lot of time. We all recognize that when we get into the discussions of that. So I honestly think at this point the committee should tend to what we still have a major thing to talk about, and get that conversation moving, and then see where we are for there. Committee folks, are you in agreement with that? Because I'm very uncomfortable moving forward with other rules that I can't read and follow along with.
So, Madam Chair, it's Christy. So we will get out. I'll probably talk to you on Monday about exactly, what everyone needs. We'll get it out. But then I think on the 29th, just so everyone's clear, is it your thought that we will be concentrating on Rule 5 and 6 on the 29th? I think it's helpful to know what rules we're going to be reviewing, in what order prior to
I think so. I think we haven't done those ones yet.
Yeah.
We can do that. Or the other thing is we can go through, read the most latest, greatest version, and see if there's any of them that we're just ready to say, we're passing this one to move on. Period. We're done with this one. This one's to bed. That's the other piece that we still need to do, and we haven't done yet. No, there's been no voting on, okay, this is Rule 2. We're done with Rule 2. It moves forward. So but yeah, we haven't gone through 5 yet. So
yeah,
why don't
I think
we
maybe
move on? Go ahead.
Sorry, Madam Chair, go ahead. I stopped right over you.
I was just gonna say, why don't we move on then for today, and we have another agenda item that we have to deal with that may take a little bit of time. And do that. So, Ethan, where do we start with this? I don't. I'm flustered a little bit.
Yeah, a motion needs to be made to go into executive session to discuss the pending hearing against OOD pertaining to the grievance. So somebody needs to make that motion.
I'll make that motion that we go into executive session to discuss the pending litigation against OOD. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay,
And now
Scott.
a roll call vote needs to be made to go into executive session.
Okay. We have a motion out there to go into executive session. We're going to vote for that. Frank,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tom. Hold off on Tom. Tom may be muted. Jeff,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Jim. Jim keeps coming and going. So does Tom. Tom, did I hear you come back in the meeting?
Yes, you did.
We are voting whether to
Yes.
go into executive session.
Yes, Madam Chair, I vote yes.
Okay. So at this
Madam
point,
Chair.
we are, yes, Kelsey.
I just didn't get who seconded the motion.
It was Scott.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Madam
go
Chair-
into, yes, Christy.
Just so I'm confused about this. So you guys are going to go into executive session and then you're going to come back. Do you need all of the Bureau back on or just Kelsey back on? Because it was very confusing last time where we got back on, but I missed a motion, but she got it. Like, do you need just tell us if we all need to be back or just Kelsey needs to be back?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, the confusion the last time was that we weren't sure how long it was going to take, so why don't we set a time for people to call back in, and then we can take a little bit of a break in the interim.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm throwing it out there to Annette to see if this works. Like right now, it is 12:26. Why don't we say everybody call back in at 12:50?
My voiceover was talking. Tom, what time did you suggest?
I suggested like 12:50, just as a random time.
Why don't we just do 1 o'clock? That gives us plenty of time, and then we can get a moment if we want. So let's
And Madam Chair,
reconvene.
does that satisfy Kelsey's lunch?
Oh,
Because that would be 30 minutes.
I don't know.
This
How
is
long
Greg.
y'all
I
get-
believe so. I don't know what Kelsey's schedule is. That's the minimum we have to give her.
I mean, we can make it 10 after or something like that too. I mean, I'm pretty flexible. I don't think there's going to be a ton to deal with.
I don't think it's going to take that long. I mean, I think 12:50 would probably work. I just don't see it taking all that long to do this.
I don't think it will either, but we have to let Kelsey have lunch. And I
So
don't
for
know if we're gonna have
clarification,
this-
Madam Chair, I think so. It's okay if we come back on at 12:50 if it's just for the motion to be recorded, and then if it's like the last time, the meeting ends. But if when you come back, if there's more agenda items or things that are going to go on, then yes, I would prefer to give the half an hour now. So I guess for our clarification, if it's really just to come back on at 12:50, the motion is stated, Kelsey gets it, and then the meeting's over. We don't need to worry about her lunch right now. But if there's more, we need to be involved in more robust discussion, I guess, after your executive session, then I would like it to go till 1 so she has her half an hour.
Okay.
And Greg, I don't plan on there being a motion at the end of this. This is more just information wise. So just as a heads up.
Okay. Okay.
The committee
Madam
members,
Chair.
do any of you have other issues to discuss today? Scott, did you say something?
I was just going to make the recommendation. It's only 10 minutes. Let's just do 1 o'clock, and that way we're safe. If we need to extend anything, we have the possibility of doing so.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just wanted to see if the committee felt we had other business after this. And you don't even have to get into what it is, but does anyone on the committee have anything else that we'll need to discuss today?
I have one issue.
Okay. Then we'll come back on the record and do that. It probably isn't a big deal. So why don't
Let's make it 1 then.
1? Yes.
Yeah,
Well, let's go later because it's now after 12:30. So why don't we make it like 1:05?
Yeah, 1:05. That'll work.
Well, the longer we talk, the longer we got to extend it. So.
Yep. So we are now going into
everyone.
executive session, and we will reconvene in open session at 1:05. It's 1:05. I don't know who all we have on here.
Kelsey's back. She came back.
Okay,
while we were doing
Kelsey's back.
I'm here, Madam Chair.
I'm not going to take a full roll call, but I want to see what committee members, make sure we have our group back. I'm here. I heard Frank.
Yep.
Scott, did I hear you?
Yes.
Okay. Tom?
He said he was going to step away for just a second.
Yeah.
So.
I got a
Okay.
mouthful of food, but I'm here.
I know. I didn't get a bite too. Jeff? Did we lose Jeff? Okay. Larry, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I think we lost Jim a long time ago. Jim, are you here? Okay. We do have a quorum to get started up again.
Annette, I'm here too. So.
Okay. Okay, Jeff.
Sorry.
Ethan, I forget. I know we just did this like a couple weeks ago, but do we need to do anything other than just state we're back on the record?
No, you're fine to go.
Okay, good. All right, so we are back. I know, Scott, I believe you said you had one more issue to bring up.
Yes, I just, is Christy on right now?
Madam Chair, Christy is on.
Okay.
Hi, Christy. I just had a question for clarification about the DSCC update. Am I reading the update correctly? And it says that, okay, there's no update to report, but the last inquiry from the Bureau to the base was September 25th?
Yes. Yeah, because they said that everything was going to be on hold because of the pending litigation. I mean, we can reach out there again to them, but I'm quite sure that their response is going to be the same. My impression was they were not going to provide us any more updates, but we can reach out.
Well, I mean, my feeling was, and my intention with the motion was that we actually seek out an update from them every month, because if we do not seek an update on the progression, they will never do anything.
So, Madam Chair, this is Greg. Can I weigh
Yes,
in
Greg.
here?
Yep.
So, and I understand what you're saying, Scott, and Rick's not here to clarify, and we can talk to him, but the indication that the military gave us was, we're not talking to you because of pending litigation. So, you know, we can talk to legal to see, is there some, I don't know, jeopardy is not the right word, but, you know, is it a good idea to keep asking them for an update even though they've told us? So I see what you're saying. So we'll discuss with legal, and we can talk about it at the next meeting, kind of give you an update on what we do there. So,
well, Greg, Madam Chair.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, to Greg, I mean, we've been told before that we have been engaged in a negotiation with DSCC for months, extending into years, and it just seems that if we do not push the issue, that nothing will ever progress and move forward. That's why I'm asking for, you know, a monthly update on the situation. Do we have any information about the progression of the lawsuit that the operators have? I mean, I've not spoken to them directly. I don't know. And so I'm just trying to figure out where that stands right now.
So, Madam Chair, this is Christy.
Okay.
We do not have any updates on the litigation. So I think that that's a good, fair point. We can reach out and ask about that. But again, their response was we were not going to talk about the pending, permit contracts until that was, went further. But we can reach out. We can absolutely reach out. I don't know of any movement on that.
The annoying thing is with that, they're using that as their recent excuse, and I'm sure it's at the urgings and recommendation of their legal counsel. But the pending litigation is not with the program. It's not with the Bureau. It's not. So it's kind of a cop out, honestly, on their side, but I don't know what could be done to force them into working with us, to be honest.
So they have basically decided they're not going to even tackle the permit right now. They've stopped all negotiating or all discussion with the Bureau, with the program altogether. Ugh.
Yes.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and I don't know of any mechanism or means to force them to do otherwise. I just, in all honesty, they're using the litigation as an excuse not to, even though the litigation is not with the Bureau and not with the program. But I don't know how to force them to do anything different with that. So it's kind of a shame. Okay, did anyone have anything else? Well, if not, then everybody have a very wonderful Christmas next week. I hope all of you have a real good holiday. Enjoy it with your families. Even sometimes it might be over Zoom or over a call or something, but I hope everyone's Christmas is very blessed and happy, and we'll see everybody on the 29th.